All right, folks, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard another edition of the Poso Cast. Jack Posobiec, host of Human Events Daily, here live filling in for the great Tim Pool. Tim is on the mend. And, you know, I see all these people, the conspiracy theory out there is that Tim Pool is dead. No, Tim is not dead like Paul McCartney, who totally died all those years ago during the Beatles. No, Tim is not dead at all. As we know, Phil has him tied up in the basement. Isn't that right, Phil?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yeah, see, there we go. Look, all I'm saying is, Phil, he's kind of a big guy and he's good with knots. So, I mean, you know, anyway, look, we got a huge show tonight. We've got so much going on. There's a ton happening out in the world. You know, I want to get in, of course, obviously, we've got to rock this first story. We kind of touched on it yesterday regarding the 600,000 Chinese student visas. This comment that was made has absolutely set the internet on fire. There is a MAGA backlash and uproar, if you will, to this. And it comes on the same day that a Chinese student, a doctoral student, has been accused of stealing confidential U.S. government research in the United States. So it's a crazy story. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into, of course, charges on Shiloh Hendricks, which is a massive story out of Rochester, Minnesota. We're also going to get into this viral video, insane video out of Scotland of a young girl having to defend herself with battle axes against a couple of migrants, her and her sister. By the way, Cracker Barrel, going back to the old logo. Shout out to all the haters from yesterday. It worked. All right. It worked. Shout out to Tate on that, by the way, who chimped out like crazy. An absolute champ for pretty much a week straight.
It was rough. Yeah, it was a lot.
You do realize that you have to only eat Cracker Barrel for a year now.
Yeah, I know what I signed up for.
Okay. All right.
Pancakes are great. The pancakes are great.
Pancakes are great. Yeah, no,
it's Cracker Barrel without the cracker.
Tate will let us know. We got a bunch of other good stories. So we're getting into it all tonight. We're absolutely getting into it all. I want to go in. Today's show is brought to you by Cast Brew Coffee. Oh my gosh, if you're running around, if Tim Pool suddenly gets sick and you've got to fill in for him on a moment's notice and be at the White House on the same day for the longest cabinet meeting in history, one of our other guests is going to talk about that as well, our co-host, I should say, then you need to fuel yourself with Cast Brew Coffee. Yesterday, we talked about the 1776 Signature Blend, the Josie Special, but you got the birthday blend, America's birthday as well, 4th of July. You've got the Cast Brew regular mix. This is the best stuff. I've been drinking it pretty much nonstop since I started doing the show, and I literally can't sleep anymore. Not even my MyPillow can get me down. That's how powerful Cast Brew coffee is. So you guys, you got to check it out. Make sure you go castbrew.com. Another piece that I wanted to get to, and I'm remiss. I am remiss for not knowing this yesterday. We should have checked. Yesterday in the member section, we were talking about Psycho Stu, better known as Stuart Smith, the boxer in this hyper-viral video that's going out with Rampage Jackson's son, Raja Jackson. We didn't realize that Psycho Stu, I didn't realize this, that he had a GoFundMe. So guys, let's go in here and do everything we can. Let's donate as much as possible to Psycho Stu. Serge, get the link out so that people can see it. I think you just go to GoFundMe. You could support Psycho Stu. It's spelled SYKOSTU. Want to get into that story a little bit. Shout out to Mr. Beast, by the way. Top donation of $10,000 that's going in. But only 3,000 people have donated thus far. It just broke $100,000, so it's at $112,000 right now. Let's do everything we can for this guy, because this is, you know, it's a horrible thing to see, but it's absolutely something that deserves to be helped with. But we have got a great show tonight, and we have a guest who's going to talk about that and possibly a lot more, because, folks, I believe first time on Timcast, right?
First time.
First time, David Nino Rodriguez.
But I've had you on my show.
And you've been on my show, right? So we did the show last year, so it's not our first show, but it's our first time on Tim's show.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of upset. I wanted to see Tim. Not that I did not want to see you.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see
we
Tim.
all
I was
want
kind of
Tim
looking
come
forward
back.
to see Tim.
Tim is absolutely alive, by the way. I can't believe that
Tim's
people
fine.
would think that Tim is not dead. He's definitely not dead.
Tim's fine.
Totally fine.
In the basement.
But tell people a little about yourself and you know, kind of how you got started doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just kind of transferred arenas. I've been a fighter my whole life. I was a top 10 heavyweight contender champion boxer, 36-0 at my peak.
Wow.
Had 2 run-ins with death in 2011. I got knifed. I overdosed on drugs. All right. I was a partier. I was juggling with both extremes.
Yeah.
Many extremes. Died twice in 2011, flatlined. Once from overdosing on drugs. The other time I took a knife to the neck coming out of a bar. They slit my throat and I almost died there. Came back and didn't have a successful comeback after that. My life changed. My whole life got nuked. So they didn't take my life. They took my career. And I was forced to pivot and do something else. So I had to reinvent myself. I could have stayed in boxing. I could have been a trainer. I could have done all that stuff, but I just felt compelled to go into the world of I would like to say I kind of follow the deep state war on the politics going on behind the scenes. That's what I follow. And that's really where that just attracted to me.
So would you say
I recognize strategy.
So would you say that those experiences that you went through, you know, led you to see those same kind of patterns happening in media?
100%. Yeah. Yes. I can see strategy. I can see patterns. And I just fell into it and my podcast took off. It's ninoscorner.tv and it really exploded on the scene and I'm still going, man. I'm still watching everything and I think it's just absolutely for me, it's like it's unbelievable to see how Trump is quote unquote beating the odds where he's at right now and seeing everything that's happening. But I see strategy, I see brilliance, and I see an operation.
No, we did great. I remember doing Nino's Corner last year when we were doing the push for the Unhumans book, and we did a great interview. So
absolutely,
let's have another one tonight.
Yeah, people love you, man.
Really good. But let's go around the horn. And here's a guy that I have not seen in ages. It's Elaad. What's up, man?
Good evening, everybody.
Elaad, why are we both so tan today?
I don't know. I didn't think
What could it be?
Polax could get that dark.
Oh, I get even darker than this, brother. I get even darker. People will mistake me for Raja Jackson by the end.
So good evening, everybody. My name's Elaad Eliyahu. I'm the White House correspondent here at Timcast. Tate, what's up?
What's up, everybody? Tate Brown here, holding it down. So you like that's a new catchphrase, I think. It's going to work. Yeah, filled in for the morning
keep
show.
telling people that it's a new catchphrase
Make
for
it
some
work,
reason.
yeah, to really hammer it home. And we had a morning show. We had a great interview today with Congressman Tim Burchett. You got to go check that out.
Great.
It was excellent. Yeah, so go check that out.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Yeah, so Elaad and I, by the way, we were at the White House pretty much all day today. They were doing a media row, and but God bless them. But the reason we were out there so long is because they were having this cabinet meeting, which they said, okay, they're going to have the cabinet meeting, and then members of the cabinet will come out, and you guys can interview them, and it's going to be great. And so do we set up? We bring cameras. We do the whole thing. And they're like, okay, well, we're pretty sure the meeting's going to be maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. Okay, maybe 2.5. Or maybe 3. It went 3.5 hours. So Elaad and I, we spent almost 4 hours out there.
At least it was on the South Lawn. It's a good place to be left out to dry. So we were chilling on the South Lawn. It's
Chilling
a
like
beautiful
villains
view,
out there.
overlooking the Oval Office. Trump did peep out. President Trump did peep out at one point, but I had a great interview with director not CIA. What is it? ICE director Lyons. I think you also had an interview.
Right. Yeah,
with
I got
him.
to sit down with him.
And so we'll put that out soon. But it's anything at the White House, I feel like it's a great opportunity.
No, it's incredible. And there's something that I feel that this White House is never going to get credit for, and they're doing so even more than the first term. I mean, they're so accessible. They're really so accessible, and they let you talk to the directors and the secretaries on a very one-to-one basis, and they're so open. And I would absolutely encourage anybody who's out there. Nino, got to get you in there, man.
Can I just say something? I forgot to tell you.
You gotta go.
I don't
You
want
gotta
everyone-
go.
I don't want. I will go, but I just want to say one thing. I don't want people thinking that you're all sitting here with a degenerate. And I got to catch myself. I've been 6 years sober.
There you
So
go,
I'm
man.
sober now.
There you
So
go.
I
There you go. That's great.
I got to
Congrats.
make sure. I got to clear the room here. Like I got to clear the air. I don't want people to be like, damn, they got a degenerate. on the
Remember,
show."
I'll take the degenerate title. I'm not sober yet, so 6 years.
No, Tate was
I learned my lesson.
Wait, Tate was about to ask you where you're going tonight.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
what's the move?
Hashtag-
Quitter.
hashtag West Virginia Nights. It gets
I was like, I don't know if he's the right person to go to a bar with, but I didn't,
it's Tuesday night. Come on.
been
It's
in
8 a.m. somewhere.
I don't like quitters.
I've been in a touring metal band for 20 years.
You've seen
so,
it all.
Listen,
All right, cool.
You're not the only guy. You're not
Like
the only guy.
only one knife. You know.
You're a pussy.
I just go to Cracker Barrel, so
right.
you
Get in
know
that rocking chair.
that's pretty much my I'm in the rocking chair. They actually based the logo of Cracker Barrel off of me because I'm just the guy who's out there with the barrel.
Yeah. Hashtag real cracker.
Hashtag real cracker. But no, folks, we've got to get into this because we mentioned this story yesterday. It had come up, and you know, I think over the last 24 hours, it's absolutely just taken over the internet in a huge firestorm. Trump says the U.S. would accept 600,000 Chinese students, sparking uproar among some conservatives. They talk about Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is an NBC article. Conservative influencer Laura Loomer blasting the idea. By the way, they keep pointing out that NBC's got this picture up of President Trump, and they're talking about the Chinese students. Of course, this is the president of South Korea. It is not the president of China in the picture. Now, of course, now to be fair,
you know,
they're doing that because that's the meeting he was in when he made the comments. But at the same time, like if I was at Human Events or Post Millennial, if I were doing graphics, I'd probably say, I feel like it doesn't make sense to include him in this picture because the story's not about him.
I can understand the mistake.
Oh no, don't say it. But then wait, plot twist. The author is Kimmy Yam.
Oh wow.
So sounds like an Asian author. So plot twist.
Right.
You know, maybe we're cool. Maybe we're
Inside
cool.
job.
Inside job, exactly.
Didn't the president of South Korea float the idea of Trump Hotel in North Korea today?
He mentioned it. Yeah, in the meeting, he mentions it, and he says, "I hope we have the idea." I hope. Well, so this new party of South Korea is a very pro-unification party, and they have been accused of a lot of ties to the CCP. So they have a totally different line on North Korea than the other party, which is much more conservative, much more combative, much more anti-CCP, anti-communist. And so there's, that's one of the things he's saying. Well, we want denuclearization, but we also want the Trump Tower, and we want this, and we want that, and unification. And wouldn't it be great if Beijing? Wait, what? What did you say?
Yeah.
So he'd probably be totally cool with the Chinese students. But let's get into this because this is what I asked, and I was checking this. So 600,000 Chinese student visas. I'm against that for sure. I don't think we need this. And we talked about this last night. But they pay full freight. This is a huge cash cow for the universities. So just right off its bat, if it helps the universities, it's a money
thing.
Something that I want.
It's a money thing.
100%, it's a money thing.
I mean, and this comes on the heels of that student that was giving away secrets, correct?
Right. So I was just going to mention that. So that happens on the same day. But I wanted to get into and just let's put the scope of this real quick here. What is the current number of Chinese students? So the current number is just under 300,000. So it's about 300,000 that are here. This is a doubling of the Chinese student population in the United States, or would be a doubling, which is also, by the way, there's so many Republicans that have been fighting against this. Marco Rubio has talked about this, the Secretary of State, so many other policymakers. Now, what's interesting is the White House has not responded to comments on this. And so, look, there's been a lot of times where President Trump has said something specifically regarding visas in one of these meetings where it doesn't really turn into policy from the White House. I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those conversations, one of those times, but we still have to talk about it. So, yeah, Nino, you were mentioning this, the other side of it where there was a kid who was just, I believe, charged, right? He was charged. So he's actually been charged today down in Texas for attempting to steal research funded by the U.S. government and taking it back to his native China. Is this the first time this has happened, Nino?
Look, I come from the border, right? Well,
Yeah.
I'm from El Paso, Texas.
Right.
I'm watching people get kicked out of their homes, abuelos, grandfathers that have families here, that have, kids and then that are Americanized, that speak only English. And then they have grandkids that speak only English, and they're getting ready to deport the grandpa, and then you're going to let in 600,000 Chinese students. That's just so hypocritical. To me, I just see, from an ethical standpoint, I see something completely wrong with this, especially if they're the ones giving out the secrets. You know what I mean? What's the abuelo doing in El Paso? That's just trying to live his life. I think we've got to come to a middle range here to where we can argue the point of certain people staying, like a grandfather who's been here for 30 something years. And look, I see you shaking your head, and I'm with it. But when you come to this, when you bring this up, you're gonna let 600,000 Chinese in. From a humanitarian point of view, I'm just saying I'm with you on this, bro.
The Chinese are an actual adversary. So allowing 600,000 Chinese nationals into the United States is a terrible.
I'm saying I'm against it.
Yeah.
I'm against it. I'm totally against it. But I'm saying, what do you tell the grandfather? You're going to allow them in, but what are you telling the abuelo who's sitting at home with his kids and grandkids? You got to go back to Mexico. He's been here 30 years. He's done nothing wrong.
Did he come in here illegally?
Correct. And
that's the wrong thing that he did.
I get it.
And on paper, these guys would be legal.
And dude, I'm with you on that. I'm just saying, how do you argue that when you're letting in?
That's how I'd argue it.
I wouldn't be making the argument because I would never accept 600,000 Chinese nationals.
Dude, I'm on your side. Just letting you guys know.
It's cool.
Okay?
I've got to say, in that case, why not both?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they
I'm
both
saying you
go
understand
home.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. How about go home? Or in Chinese, 回家.
I'm a little bit ambivalent on the issue, and I want to steelman Trump's case here. He did actually have more recent comments on this where he said, I told President Xi that we're honored to have his students here, and now with that, we'll check them. We'll be very careful to see who it is on the concerns of them potentially being spies or stealing information. So it's a couple of things at hand here that we should explore further. You mentioned it again, the universities. These foreign students pay full tuition,
yes,
which is usually roughly at least double what like somebody who's in state would pay for a lot of these schools, and a lot of these.
So we actually have in the article. I've got a number for you just to add to the steel man. I guess Chinese students contributed in 2023. So is it? What's the source for this, though? NBC is claiming it, but there's no source. So NBC claims there's no source, but they're claiming that that Chinese students contributed $14 billion to the U.S. economy.
So,
but I'd
so
like
here's
to
the
know.
thing.
I'd like to know where that comes from.
So whatever they contribute to tuition is one thing. Then there's like the total economic picture of what else they contribute here, because when these people are here is, they need to shop, they need to eat food, they need to buy things, and that's what they do. So they contribute to the economy. So there's like that monetary value. It's a huge subsidy to these colleges. I went to the university at Buffalo. It felt like half the college were these Chinese and Indian students, but without them, these colleges wouldn't be able to survive. There's something to say about the soft power aspect of this. While I think we have something like tens of thousands. This is what
Secretary Lutnick has been arguing.
Yeah, that there's a cultural aspect to this. Most people don't want to go to. There is some people who shop around schools all around planet Earth, but the best schools generally that foreign students want to go to are schools in the United States. And the cultural impact of some of your best and brightest from foreign countries coming here, ingratiating yourself with American values and then taking that home. I think there's something to say about that soft power. President Xi's daughter famously, I believe, went to Harvard for X amount of years, and the influence there could be untold. So I think we should also think of this in terms of the trade deficit that we have with China. This is essentially a trade item that could help balance that trade imbalance as well, and I think that's why they're going for a doubling. So while I do have concerns about the security aspect, I think these are rich Chinese people coming here with fat wallets, and I think these are probably the most Western of Chinese people to begin with who would even consider coming here. I know you spent some time in China yourself.
About 2 years, yeah.
What do you think about Trump using this as kind of in the aspect of trade, not too concerned, using this as a tool to kind of try to leverage with President Xi?
I think that it would in a vacuum, maybe I would say, that's a good point. But, in the past 20, 30 years since the globalist project has been set up, our relationship with China has been absolutely toxic for this country.
Yep.
and it has deprived so many people of their jobs in terms of the manufacturing that's been outsourced at the blue collar level. And what we're talking about here is depriving people of a pathway to a better life if you would have had the ability to make it into one of these schools, but you're some kid from the Midwest, and so you're applying maybe for scholarships or whatever it is, and you can't get one because they want that spot to go to some scion of the CCP elite that is able to pay full freight, so they're going to come in. And by the, to your point about the CCP's sending their kids here, Jiang Zemin's grandson went to UPenn like 20 years ago, and so this has been going on for quite some time. We haven't seen any shift in the CCP, and if anything, they've become more authoritarian. In Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao were more technocratic, whereas Xi Jinping is much more authoritarian and certainly has been since he's taken power in 2012, and has remained and perhaps will be the Chinese, the chairman of the party until long after we're all dead, because he's going to be keeping himself immortal with Chinese power. And so if anything, we've become more like China since this globalist relationship has begun. And so, when I look at something like this, again, I still say, what is best for the American people first?
See, that's what I have a problem with. I mean, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab has said that the model for the world is China, the CCP China. So here we are letting in 600,000 of them. I'm sorry. I see a lot of things wrong with it, and I think it's very hypocritical. Yeah. I'm a Trump supporter all the way. People don't get it wrong. I am, but I'm going to call things out when I don't agree with it. Just like everyone here, I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with me on this one,
absolutely.
Right? And all I was saying was about the Mexican grandpa at home who's done nothing wrong. Then, doing it for some and not all of them. You know what I mean? You can't just pick and choose. To me, I mean,
you keep saying
it's just such a very no. Listen, hold on. I do agree that you got to come here legally, no doubt about it. But I mean, if we're really looking at the real numbers, we're looking at what, 30, 40 million illegals here in America.
So funny enough, Elaad and I both interviewed the ICE director today. And you asked him about that number as well, right? He couldn't even give us a solid number on how many are here.
I asked him how many have they detained and deported so far, and what are their goals. I don't think anybody in the Trump cabinet is trying to get ahead of Trump himself, though, and they don't want to have those numbers held against them. So I don't think they're trying to be firm.
Can I say something I've noticed?
Yeah, but you'd think that I imagine, though, as ICE, they probably, have a number, right? Obviously, they know how many have been deported, but I think there's probably a number that they have that's sort of a working operational number. But, for reasons like that and also legal reasons, they're probably not putting it out publicly, but I think they do have a number.
But I
probably
will,
around 30 million.
I will tell you, though, that they are striking fear into them because they're not moving around like they should. When I go to the airports from El Paso to San Antonio, wherever I'm flying, it used to be packed to the gills.
Yeah.
And now, dude, there's like 80 to 100 seats open, and flights are like they're cutting down the flights now.
So they're not flying.
Yeah, they're not moving. They're like in a frozen state right now. Right. So, but the word is on the street, in El Paso, everyone's like they're just going to wait it out till Trump is gone. They're pretty confident that that's really what they're saying.
Dude, my homie's nanny, they don't let her go to the park because they're scared she's going to get.
To your point, that's why, like, my opinion is the federal government, the federal government should come down on people that employ illegals really hard and people that rent housing to illegals.
100%.
Because if their option or their decision is to just hunker down
that's what they're doing.
Hide, they're not going to leave. So the next thing, because I've said this a bunch of times, I don't want to see ICE agents kicking in people's doors because first of all, it's bad for just optics, right? Like nobody wants to see grandma or grandpa getting drug out of their bed by dudes in body armor. That's just not something that anyone wants to see on the internet. It upsets Karen. Karen gets all mad.
Especially if she's at Home Depot or she's at
She
Walmart.
gets up in people's faces. Then you have to put Karen in flex cuffs, and then that's a whole disaster. So you don't want to do that to anybody at all. So make it hard for them to stay, so that way you don't have to have police interactions with them.
Well, that's the real ID, right? I mean, that's the first part of this, right? The real ID, I would imagine.
I mean maybe, but that's why. Like I said, I want to see people that are actually losing their businesses if they're hiring people and
Phil,
losing property.
Just to answer his point, that I've had it told to me because when Real ID was coming around and the Trump administration has sort of been, they didn't come up with it's been on the books for 15,
a long
20
time
years, but they are sort of administering this rollout. And I asked around and sort of on background, what's the deal? Like this thing is kind of unpopular. Why are we still doing it? And that was sort of the response that I had was, they do think it's something where, look, if you're an illegal, there's no way you're walking in and you have to present all those documents to get a basic ID, to get on planes, to go.
You'll be taken down right there and you're out.
Yeah, so they know they can't get them. So again, it's part of that idea of ratcheting things up.
But nobody's self-deporting. He's giving that option. Like, well, if you self-deport, they're not going to do that.
What do you think about this? This thought that people are saying, some kind of stipend to self-deport. So
they're not. I'm telling you right now. I'm in El Paso. I know what I'm hearing. Nobody's self-deporting.
Like nobody's taking.
I don't see anybody at the airport self-deporting.
They're not going to take. No, you think they would take
no, because it took so long to get here, and they're just going to wait it out. They really believe Trump is going to be gone. Like they believe everyone's going to be fed up with him. You got Gavin Newsom running his mouth, Beto O'Rourke. I mean, they're like the cheerleaders, amping these people up. It's so wrong. It's a humanitarian crisis. All this stuff. They're going to wait it out. They're going to wait it out, and I don't see anything happening in El Paso that's any different. I know that there've been some tunnels here and there that have been intercepted and stuff like that, but really, from everyone that I know of, everyone's waiting it out.
Don't you think if they just crank up taxes on remittances, that would force a lot of people to return?
But these people, they're living just under the radar, bro, just scraping by, and they're going to stay here and just hunker down.
Yeah, that's what I'm just curious is what would be the incentive for them to stay if remittances or taxes on remittances are sky high.
Maybe they could do a workaround with just using cash.
You could use cryptocurrencies.
But it's still better here.
Cash.
It's still better here than where they came from. Where they came from, there's murder, there's crime, violent crime. Families are getting killed. The gang problem is still out of control. Third world problems are third world problems. Like coming here, it's still better, even if they have to be homeless. So that's their argument. They don't want to go back to that. It's a terrible life. It's a terrible life.
So we've got to think of some other ways to ratchet this up. So you got to heat the frog. You got to heat the pot so that the frog jumps out.
Yeah, that's why that's why you have to make it illegal to rent to them so they can't find homes.
I agree.
Make it illegal. Well, not make it illegal, but punish the people that rent to them and punish the people that give
the landlords.
Yeah, punish the people that employ them as well. That's the only way. And this is something that I've talked about this a bunch of times, but this is something Democrats say all the time. Oh, well, how come you don't go after the business owners? How come you don't go after blah, blah, blah? Yeah, go after them. Everything. I believe in all options.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So Phil, this is something that I did actually ask to the ICE director earlier today. We're going to be releasing this in a little while, but sorry, you can see the whole thing on Human Events Daily, but I am going to mention what he said. I said this. I said, I've noticed the way they're targeting some of these raids. It seems that when the businesses are getting raided, it seems like you guys are actually going after the business owners even more than just the workers.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the workers will get rolled up. But I said, are you targeting immigration fraud? And they said, absolutely. He said I was surprised that he confirmed that because I haven't seen any, operational statement out there saying that they're, making that the priority for ICE enforcement. But he said, we're absolutely looking for these flagrant, and it could be a supermarket, it could be a slaughterhouse, whatever it might be, that they know the places, right? They know the places that are doing the hiring. They know the places that are putting out the fake IDs, the stolen social security numbers, this idea, they don't access benefits. Cut the crap. Like, we know they're accessing benefits. It's not hard to get a fake social security number. And then to your point, right? Then their kids who, if they're born here, they get to go to school, they get to access all that. So they sort of have the indirect access to the welfare net that we have, the broader social safety net that we have in this country. And so it's a total joke, which I think ABC was saying it the other day that they're so upset that illegal aliens are having their kids are being worried about pulled out of school. I said, wait a minute. So you admit that they're accessing public benefits, even though you.
I will say that I've noticed the schools have less kids, man. Like when I'm going through the certain streets to get to my house, it used to get flooded with kids, and now it's like nothing. Like hardly any kids coming out of the school now. So I know, just watching this take place.
Have you done any content down there? Have you gone around and filmed and stuff?
I went down to the border to show what a joke it is before Trump really took.
Well, I mean, since Trump has come back.
I went down to the border and I was going to show the razor that was there that Biden put in.
Yeah.
The cheap razor that was there, and it was a joke. And I showed up, and man, military guys came out immediately, like within 2 minutes, and put guns to me. And I was like, "Yo,
Wow!"
I was like, "This is good, good. You all passed." I was just checking.
And you did that recently?
Yeah. Wow. This was not 3 months ago.
Okay,
about 3 months ago, and I got there, and they were like, "Yeah, man, you can't be here, this and that." And I'm like, "I'm out, dude."
Great.
Like, hey, I'm a Trump
I love
supporter.
it.
I'm a Trump supporter. I'm out.
Operational
It's good to see-
control
yeah.
of the border, ladies
dude. And you know what? There
gentlemen.
was a dude in a camouflage tent. I mean, they were all sitting out there, and I didn't even see the guy. And they got me. So I was like, I wasn't expecting anything.
And you were on the U.S.
And I was
side.
going that way.
You're on the U.S.
So
side.
They got me real quick, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. Like, "Yo," I was like, "Man, I was just doing content for Instagram, and I'm out, guys. All good. You all passed. You all passed. Take care."
And was that how close to town was that?
That was where Paisano is. Where exactly where the kind of where we build the wall. That area kind of.
Like down past that?
Yeah, just right off Paisano, the street Paisano. That used to be the most dangerous stretch of freeway in America.
I remember them saying that when I was there. Yeah,
it was bad. They used to. So before the wall was there, they used to go put rocks or 2x4s and nails, and cars would hit them, pop, 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 and then the kids from the other side would do a carjacking, kill people. I mean, it was brutal.
So they were doing They were coming from Mexico doing the carjacking.
They would rob the trains.
Could they drive the car back, or just like
They would just get the crap out of the car and just shoot somebody and run back. And it was that easy. It happened all the time.
Absolutely insane. Anything else you guys want to add about the Chinese students, or is there anyone who want to make? I mean, Elaad gave the best steel man, but when it comes to it, look, people will say, oh, MAGA is always in lockstep with Trump, but I just don't think that's the case.
No.
And I think you can point to issue after issue where that hasn't been shown.
I think this is indicative of a larger anti-immigrant, both legal and illegal trend that we're seeing on the right, and then both in the elements of moderates, independents, and the left as well.
I mean, we talked about the reason, though, right? Like, so the idea that they're bringing people into the country so that way they can count them in the census. These people tend to concentrate in urban areas. That means that you're more than likely going to have the urban areas get more people in the census. That means more representatives in Congress, most likely Democrat representatives. This is the reason why I don't want immigrants, is because it's taking voting power away from the American people. It has nothing to do with who they are. Now, when it comes to the Chinese, I think that they're a threat because I know that China is an adversary of the United States. I don't have the false notion that they're like just a rival or we're going to work together on something. China doesn't look at the United States that way, and the United States cannot look at China that way because China doesn't look at us that way. So the thing that I want to see is no Chinese students coming in unless and actually no, not at all, like none, because they're a national security threat.
I think we do need to make a distinction between the CCP and the regular Chinese person.
There is no distinction.
I think there is.
China can call on people and say, "Look, you do this, and if you don't, we're gonna put your family
nationals
in jail."
who hate the Chinese government?
They don't. I don't think that it matters because they'll go after their family in China.
Well, no, and certainly, by the way, there's obviously a distinction. But when we're talking about a lot of these colleges that are Ivy League, you do have to have the money to be able to afford this. So typically, you are getting elites,
and you have to be a member of the CCP. Or you have to have family that are members of the CCP. And the fact, like I said, it doesn't matter what the individual thinks. It doesn't matter because if they have family back home that they love in China, then that's where they apply the pressure. Xi Jinping has no problem doing that. He will put his thumb on your grandma if you don't listen. He will put his thumb on your brother, your mom, whatever, if you don't.
I agree. I think
he'll lock you in your home.
Yeah,
it's 100% a national security threat.
Yeah, I don't think that they need to have these students here on visas, although you could argue the most important place to have them would be in the universities. But if they want, they could, if you want to have a sophisticated Chinese spy from the CCP, you could come into the country illegally. I'm sure it would be very easy for them to get fake documents or pretend they're another Chinese person.
You've heard stories about them coming across the Darien Gap and stuff.
Sure. Well, that's why I'm kind of arguing that them coming here on student visas wouldn't be the biggest threat. If they wanted to come in as spies, they could do so through the southern border and then infiltrate with their identities.
Though, but when you're talking about stealing research, this is it's all about placement and access. So when you're talking about spycraft, so if you're your P&A is already at, MIT or one of these research laboratories. I mean, these universities are where the research is happening, and in many cases, of course, being done with government funding or perhaps on proprietary, any kind of technology. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the biotech transfer between the U.S. and China. So it's clearly part of a toxic relationship that we have with China, and that's why I'm against it.
Well, they get busted in Germany and the UK and France for this all the time too. Like, this is a problem in universities across the world.
Yep.
And the embassy or the consulate will put pressure on the students, because what they'll do is, here's how it works. They'll track you, right? They'll track the students, and then they'll figure out, okay, what students do we have in? What classes are they in? What major are they in? And then they'll line that up with whatever their Ministry of State Security priorities are. So your priority intelligence requirements, or PIRs, that we would have in the IC in the US, they've got theirs as well. And so suddenly someone who's in the science and technology department says, hey, you've got this guy and he's making his way towards here, have him go for those files. So it's not like someone is a spy from the start. It's more like they're already here. Then we find out, hey, they've got access to something we want. Now we apply the pressure.
Yeah, they're property of the CCP, regardless. Whether they.
Well, but I'm a little confused on something. Is this something he just fleetingly said, or is this something that he actually held a conference with and said, "Well, I'm gonna do this"?
He's repeated it multiple times.
He doubled down on
and
it.
he's been asked about it in the
repeating
past and said that he doesn't want to get rid of the 300,000. He's always used strong rhetoric against that. Against expelling them. I also think this is worth mentioning that if you zoom out for a second, geopolitically, what this really speaks to is a failure in diplomacy. This is one of the, not last, but it's going down the path of a failing diplomacy with China if we're thinking that we need to not have these students be here. Obviously, the Trump administration thinks differently.
I think that when it comes down to it, I just go back to, and to your point about the failure of diplomacy, the average person looks at it as a completely unbalanced relationship that we have with China. So it's this huge inverse, or it seems that they get all of the gain. And what do we get? Like cheap TVs and trinkets and baubles and things. And it's just something that ultimately we can see that China is getting fat and happy off of this relationship. And by the way, prior to the tariffs, which have been largely successful, and the Chinese have eaten that, by the way, that you could say, what are we really gaining in terms of wealth in this country? And so, Josh Steinman had thrown something out earlier and said, hey, why not, if we're going to do this, let's tariff the students. Let's tariff the students 200%. I said, you know what, double it 400%.
They're already paying full tuition compared to nobody else is paying full tuition.
Right, but that money goes directly to the college.
Sure. I mean, we end up subsidizing these colleges too, so it's an additional subsidization for
right. So it's a subsidization for the college. So I guess the idea being, why not have something that actually benefits the country directly?
Well, it's keeping them afloat would be the argument. I think I've read 15% of these colleges wouldn't be able to thrive without them. But I had one last thing I wanted to.
I don't mind if a lot of. I'm not going to get a lot of defense for a lot of the colleges in this country.
Well, my alma mater, the University of Buffalo, would probably fail if they didn't have all these foreign students. Maybe one last tidbit that I wanted to add here, though, is that I think this is a really easy thing for nationalists on both sides to fearmonger on, and I'm guilty of that myself. If I was a Chinese nationalist, I'd say, no, I don't want to send our best and brightest over to the United States to become useful idiots and Chinese spies for the United States. Oh, we're going to send them there 4 years. They're going to get brainwashed into all this bullshit liberal ideology. Yeah. They're going to start believing trans and gay bullshit, and they're going to come bring that back here because that's what they're learning over there. So I feel like it's easy to fear monger in that way, because in China they're like, oh, this is we went through the century of humiliation, and now you're going to continue supporting those Western dogs who oppressed us for all these centuries, and you're going to support them economically. That's where you're going to go spend all your money, and you're paying top dollar to go to these schools. So I think both sides have an argument to fear monger around here. Yeah, having more exchange is known to cool down.
I mean, again, if in a vacuum, I think that I get what you're saying, that an exchange is good. I'd love to get to that point in the relationship at some point. I just don't think we're there. I just really don't think we're there. I think we're at a point where it's like the United States is like your buddy who's in a toxic relationship with this girl, and he's totally just simping all over her, the codependent relationship, totally simping out. And we're like, dude, she treats you like crap. She's always taking your stuff. She doesn't let you do what you want. Look what's happened to your life.
I have a few
then.
friends like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We all have
got
those
friends
Jack,
like
it
that,
begs the
and
question.
They just won't listen.
What do you think the president's thinking here is then, if not saying he doesn't want to cancel these visas, he wants to double it? What is the president thinking here?
He wants a good relationship with Xi.
Yeah, he's negotiating.
He's all about
Now,
the deal, right? Let's make a deal.
I always kind of say this. Whenever he's in deal-making mode, I do think that he'll throw out things like this that and people can say like, oh, here's Posobiec, he's doing his paid thing. No. Like seriously, I think he does throw out things when he's in negotiating mode. And obviously we know he's working on various trade deals with China. The tariffs have been a huge piece of this as well. So I would kind of chalk it up to sort of the Trump negotiation.
I think it's important how he said this. I didn't see the video on this. I don't know if he just said it fleetingly, like, I could entertain that, or was he like, no, we're going to do this. Like, this is something I want to do. So it all depends on how he stated this, I think. If he was just kind of like, that's interesting, I might think about doing
but
something.
I think public opinion is generally against it. And
I'm against it 100%.
We saw the AP last week. They're like, we have 55 million visa holders, and then they see 600,000 more.
Right.
So you're just like, I don't care if they're donating me $1 million. Well, that would be nice, but it's like
but
so what they're
right.
keeping the universities afloat. It's like we got 55 million to get out. What's 600?
Maybe this is the backdoor way to drain China. They're already in a population crash. We're taking an extra 500,000 of their youngest. Hey.
Australia can handle.
We're not. I just project the idea that we're taking them. Like bringing them here does not mean they become American.
We're going to indoctrinate them.
No, we're not.
So
It just
our
doesn't happen.
They do that on their own.
Show me the example of that, though. That's not what
my-
happened.
at my college,
there's
they
a
all
ton of
back.
Chinese dissidents in the United States. We have a ton of these different groups
But
that
they
exist.
typically go back. They typically go back and they work from China, and they're so focused on money. And
So there's
use
like
that
Tibetan
degree to go
refugees.
back.
There's Falun Gong refugees that come here. There's people from Hong Kong
that
also
come through
here.
these
And I think these
colleges?
are.
They're not going to NYU.
They do go to these
they're-
colleges, and I've seen them protest on these colleges before. I've seen free
It
Hong Kong
might be
protesters.
a small number, but it's nowhere near the majority.
Well, yeah,
Nowhere.
they're also not allowed to protest at all in China, so they're coming from a background and culture that, struggles to express themselves or vote or participate politically. I think Trump has something up his sleeve here, and we should let the guy cook. We should let Trump cook here, guys. Let's not freak
We've
out.
So this is the argument though that was made about opening up to China from the 1980s, and this this is something I've always been critical of Margaret Thatcher and her government in the handover of Hong Kong, because it kept being this refrain over and over that the more exposure that we have to China, the West has to China, the more democratic they will become, and they will have protest groups. And you can go back 40 years, and they were saying the exact same thing. And what have we seen? Hong Kong promised 50 years of the special, one government, two systems, and Xi Jinping just threw that out the window completely. Then it's been a total crackdown. China hasn't become more democratic. If anything, we have become less, far, far less. And I would argue that our exposure, and I would see this when I was over there, briefly was at the Shanghai American Chamber of Commerce, and then also worked for another firm doing business there, and trying to help American businesses come into the Chinese market. And what you would see though was that American business leaders and American politicians would come over and they'd see the CCP system, and this gets to what you're saying about the China model, and they would say, "Oh, this is great. So if I want a maglev, if I want a high-speed rail, like we had one in Shanghai, they have one that kind of goes from the airport almost to downtown, and they just build it." And you say, well, what about the people who live in the way? What about them? You just get rid of them. You tear down those neighborhoods. You just blast them out, and then they can go wherever. And so, to your point, right, in a system where there is no political, real participation, if they're in a system where they don't have any rights to be able to defend their homes, it becomes intoxicating for Western leaders to see that system and say, how can we get some of that as well?
Yeah, but this is going to give the illegal immigrants a lot of ammunition if he does this, man. for them to protest and fight back and feel righteous and whether wanting to stay here. I mean,
So we have to go and they can come.
No. I'm just saying it's going to give them a lot of.
No, that's what they're going to say. They're going to say.
They're going to say,
"We
like,
have
what
to
the hell
go,
is
but
this?
they
It's
can
going to look
come."
very hypocritical. It's going to look bad on Trump.
We already have other legal immigrants that come on through different visas.
And hey, if we can radicalize Latin America on China being a geopolitical adversary, I mean that's a win-win.
It's a wedge issue, right?
Maybe that's what he's
I do
want
to want to be cognizant of the clock, and so I want to get into the Psycho Sue story. So we talked about this in the third hour yesterday in the members hour, but Nino, I was thinking that you probably had some takes on this, given that you come from a fight background. I mean, look, it's like they say you talked. And now pro wrestling is obviously very different from what you did.
Pro wrestling's fake, okay?
It's scripted.
It's scripted, but it's scripted. But I mean, like when I was in the dressing room getting ready to fight, nobody told me who was going to win. We were going in there to kill each other. He was not expecting that beatdown. It was premeditated. There was a video of Jackson's son, Rampage Jackson's son, talking about, have you seen the video where he's talking, I'm going to go up there and hit this guy, man. I'm going to tag this guy. He's saying all these things. It was premeditated. He was not going along with any kind of script. He wasn't going to fake drop him and then fake slap him. If you see the punches land on this guy's cranium, these are intentionally. He was there to kill that guy, dude. Like that was like
we're
5, 6.
We're now up to $115,000, so $3,000 extra just since we mentioned it a couple of minutes ago.
I think that's a murder charge, bro. Honestly, attempted murder. I'm sorry.
So walk us
especially
through,
premeditated.
Walk us through if someone's in that situation. You've been boxing out. There's no boxing gloves on in this, so gloves are off. Literally, he's down. He's bashing you in the head. What happens in that situation physically?
Well, he went red, right?
Yeah.
He went totally red. He lost his mind. He was whatever. There was something happened before that where he smashed a can on his head. He apologized. They became friends again. They were talking.
And it was a prop. It was like
a prop, right?
Like
it was like an act. It was an act.
It was a planned act. Yeah.
This guy took it so personal, and it hurt his ego so bad, that fragile ego he has, that he went after him, and what he did was uncalled for, man. And then plus the guy wasn't expecting it. You can go. I've seen this happen. You've probably seen it happen to where guys go up to other guys and it's called stealing their soul or snatching their soul. Where you go up to a guy in a club and bam, whack him, knock him out. He's out snoring, and you just disappear into the crowd. That happened all the time. He kind of did that to this guy. The guy was not expecting this. He got picked up, slammed, and then when he's there pretending to be like he's out, then he starts getting punches delivered to his face. That's uncalled for, and it was premeditated, and there's proof that it was premeditated by him talking about it on the phone to whoever he was talking to. Someone was recording him say all this. So to me, how is this this could be like an attempted murder charge.
That kind of damage. What do you say it's attempted murder? How likely is it that he could have died?
Oh, so easy. Just a hair, man. Like, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't with the blows he took to the head. Honestly, I've seen guys die in sparring, get hit wrong, and bap, they're out. Ambulance comes, they're gone. I've seen it happen in the gym. And those are with 16-ounce gloves, sometimes 18-ounce. I mean, they're heavyweights given, but I mean, I've seen that happen in when I knocked out Owen Beck. He was out for like almost 30 minutes when I knocked him out with a left hook, and he was bleeding out of his eyes and his ears. Jesus! And I thought I took a knee. The crowd got silent. I was scared to death, and I think that also affected my career, to be quite honest. But that was intentional. What he did was intentional. He went in there and he dropped that guy on his head, and it looked like he tried to kill him. Now, to me,
and he's using his training.
Yes, and the guy was he was not expecting that. So I gotta call it what it is, and I think everyone has seen it. And it looks like he's trying to kill the man. Just because it's with your fists, but that's still doing a lot of damage.
Now, by the way, we're up to 116,500. I just refreshed, and so donations are pouring in. This is awesome. I love this.
So is he in a coma or is he?
No, I thought they said he was awake.
Is he awake? Okay, my bad.
I thought they said. I'm just scrolling down. Sometimes they put updates on here. I mean, we can find out what we can. He is, by the way, he's a veteran of the United States Army, and this is crazy. So he was using wrestling as an outlet to deal with his PTSD. Now, one thing that I want to say, I mentioned this yesterday on the third hour, was that there was an affiliation between this independent promotion and the WWE. So this is a situation, I got to say, they could potentially be looking at a lawsuit, a huge lawsuit from Psycho Stu here if he wanted to pursue that route because, you know, I'm sure you got to sign waivers. So like when you were boxing, did you ever have to sign waiver with the promoter before they put it on and say, hey,
and half the contracts I signed, I didn't even know what was in.
Yeah.
No wonder I got screwed. No, but I mean, there was times at weigh-ins, honestly, that I remember the tension was so bad. All of a sudden, we just started throwing punches. Like you can't predict it. It just happens, you know. But I never looked at a guy and I was like premeditating, like I'm gonna just go up and just, you know. It's just sometimes you're staring at each other and then they can't part you, and the next thing you know, you're like, well, we got to take this to the next level because I'm not backing down, you're not backing down. It's on, and then we just start fighting. That happens. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the sport. It's just what it is. But what I saw in that video is premeditated. He did it without the guy knowing. The guy didn't know that he was going to come get slammed. Maybe he knew. He was gonna
so what you're saying it's not like one of those weigh-in situations where the tension raises up because he was planning to do that before he got
right. It was premeditated. The guy was unsuspecting. He had his back turned to him. He probably knew he was going to go, okay, he's going to come in the ring, pick me up, slam me, and then, you know, whatever. He trusted in him. He actually had
whatever the set of moves was.
So he had a trust factor in that kid. Like, okay, I know he's probably going to come pick me up, slam me, and then, you know, whatever move we decide to do that
he does a body slam at
right,
first.
and then we're going to script whatever happens after that, but he didn't. Bam, 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 and started going to town on the guy. Come on, man. I mean, that's coward. To me, that means coward. I don't know. I don't know how you all look at it, but to me, that's a coward move. And
there was a lot of, if I understand correctly, there was a lot of people in his chat after the initial bit. I think.
This is what we were talking about last night. Right?
They were calling him names, saying that he was, you know, calling him all kinds of names, and basically
Rampage Jackson's kid?
No, Raja's.
Yeah, Raj.
So because he's a big kick streamer, and they were saying last night that. That's what Andrew Wilson was here last night, and what he was saying was that I feel like Tim all of a sudden here because I'm explaining drama. That don't worry, Tim, I got you, buddy. That his chat was egging him on to do it because they're saying, how are you going to let him punk you like that? How are you going to let him get you like that? You got. You know, he smashed that beer into your head. You're just going to let him do that.
How old is he?
And he's 20s.
Yeah, he's super young.
You know, I say he's 20s, something like that. You're in your 20s, Pete.
Yeah, he's even younger than me.
So he's like 21, maybe 22. Is he? I don't know. I'm just gonna say
25.
25, yeah.
You know, to me, that's still a kid.
Tate's like he's super young. He's older than me.
I also feel like Twitch streamers, kick streamers, this is just the concentration of the world's lowest impulse control.
Yeah.
Like every single person on there is just like a ticking time bomb. So it's actually kind of a miracle we don't see stuff.
Someone in the chat here was saying I was one of the people on his chat.
No.
Oh, no.
I don't think he was charged with anything,
wouldn't you had more respect
Not
for him
yet,
if you,
not yet.
But wouldn't you had more respect for him?
I believe they said under investigation. Where did this happen again?
I'm not sure where it happened.
Was it? I thought it was Knox Pro. Was it Knoxville?
Yeah. I don't think it's Knoxville, but it's Knox.
That'd be crazy if it was Knox County with Glenn Jacobs.
But I would have had more respect for the kid if you would have like challenged him, grabbed the mic and said, "Let's go right now, me and you," and then mano a mano, then go, then okay, but maybe.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of it, right?
Right.
It's
but
that
like he
one
did
guy
it so
smashes the
unsuspecting.
beer, then that says LAPD.
Yeah.
So I'm no tough guy.
Wait, what was that one? That
Yeah,
said
it was
LAPD?
in L.A.
I'm no tough guy, obviously, but there's no honor here in cheap shotting someone. I think if you're a man about it, or I don't know, there's some sort of fighter's honor of like, let's actually fight.
It's a code.
You're not trying to hit people when they're unconscious. I don't think so. No. I mean, all of his hits were dirty as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
And I don't really know what else to say. I hope he gets charged.
I saw Rampage's response, and considering Raj is his kid, he actually had a really good response. Like he's like, I'm not going to condemn my kid, but he was, but like, you know,
I would have.
I love him, and he was like, he was definitely wrong in doing it. So he was clear about that. But it was, you know, like, I mean, you know, you're a father. You don't want to sit there. You're not going to get on the internet. You're not going to get on the internet and beat up on your kid.
Well, I mean, it depends what you mean by condemn, right? If that were my son, I would have walked him down to the police station and said, you need to face for what you did.
I agree.
100%. That's as a father, right? Is you have to own up to your mistakes. So if you did something, right? Number one, obviously you owe an apology, but number two, you have to pay a debt. So a debt must be paid here, whether that's to society, whether that's to the man directly.
I feel like Rampage needs to give him a good old
That's good
old ass whipping.
Yeah.
Needs to give him the Adrian Peterson treatment with the switch.
I would take my kid to the woodshed. Maybe metaphysically over something not like that. But no way, no. That's something where. And by the way, I wouldn't be tweeting about it. Like if something like this had happened. I mean, God forbid. But I gotta say, it feels to me like this is something that it does feel like bad parenting. It does feel like bad parenting.
To underscore, I think a part of this that we didn't address, the biggest issue I think at hand here was his ego control. He couldn't control his ego. He felt like someone had one up on him, someone had embarrassed him, and he needed to get revenge. He wasn't able to swallow his pride. And I think that could be a lesson for other people to check your ego. And, having your ego all wound up could get you in some deep shit.
You'd think that he understood that he's in the wrestling world. This is a job.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I mean. Like the bit was a job. It was
after the fact he was like, I'm not going to get got anymore. Nobody's going to get me anymore.
He instigated that. The kids on his social media egging him on. So he was probably looking at all these comments going, oh man, I got to do something. I can't go down.
I'm not going to let people
ridiculous
have one over
because
on me anymore.
It's an ego problem for himself. To know what was going on. Like you're supposed to go into that scenario understanding how it goes. It was a work. And that's a wrestling term I'm using. It was a work. He was supposed to take the hit. Then he was going to get him back in the ring. He would knock the guy down. And then those hits aren't supposed to be actually real. But he went,
Which, by the way, if he's the one, because, when you look at it, Psycho Stu in the angle, right, in the narrative, he's the one that kind of cold cocks him with the beer outside. So it's almost like he was the one taking the cheap shot. So I don't know exactly.
But that was part of the work.
Right, that's part of the work.
That was part of the script thing.
But what I'm saying is, if he was the one doing that, then it would have been setting up Raja to kind of be the baby face, right? To setting him up as the good guy in that where he's the heel, so he's the villain, and then Raja is going to defeat the villain in the ring, right? Like that's
correct.
What we're trying to accomplish.
But he took it massive personally and went out there for a vendetta and just tried to kill the man.
Right. No,
and I do believe he needs to be punished by the law for this. I really do. I don't see how you walk from this.
By the way, I think stuff like this happens every day, every week, on a smaller scale, in dumb bar fights and people fighting outside of convenience stores 100%. And people shooting each other because one person passes him by, steps on his shoes, calls him a name. People's sensitive egos and fragile egos leads to, unfortunately, a lot of senseless violence in our country, and you should try your best to avoid it. Like, this is dumb, sad, unfortunate stuff that's happening in our country. Yeah, one guy has brain damage, and this other guy's likely going to jail for a long time.
Jason Whitlock talks about this a lot. I think he calls it diss culture, where you dissed me, so I've got to respond.
Get you back, one up you.
That was a diss. You did that on purpose. You stepped on my shoes. Now I've got to blow your tire out. Whatever. You took my beanie, right? Yeah. Tim should have messed him up.
Real.
And that was an agreement. That
you
was
would think even me being a fighter that I would be reactionary like that. I'm not. Like especially now that I've gotten older and I'm done with boxing, I have if I can walk away from a fight or any kind of altercation, I'm walking. When you get older, I've just seen too much stuff happen with my friends and people I know. And
to yourself
Oh yeah, exactly.
I don't want to. I don't know. You started off, you almost died at the bar fight or something.
By the way, that was
a lesson. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
That was all just on the way to the studio. Yeah, that was all just earlier. I was out here. You went out with Tate.
Oh, dude, yeah, these West Virginia nights, man, they get a little wild, a little wacky and wild. These Cracker Barrels are getting wild.
By the way, Tate, can I see your knife?
Yeah, just don't worry, it's British approved.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, and hey, segue here because we're talking about British approved knives. One of the other stories that I've just seen everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
That was good.
It actually was a good segue. I'm getting better at this. We don't have a ton of details in terms of names, in terms of everything that's going on, but this was something that was tearing up the interwebs yesterday. And EV Magazine, the great ladies over at EV Magazine have put this together. 14-year-old girl from Scotland charged after carrying weapons. Now, that's an interesting headline because if you look at the video, you perhaps might come away with another idea about who it is who should be charged, who is the aggressor, and who is the one doing something. Do we have Serge, do we have the actual video? Can we just play this? If I hit that, will it just play? Okay. All right, I'm literally just driving now because this is...
You don't... Hey, I'm fucking profit!
Yeah. All right, I'll take it back. So you got, this is in Scotland, 2 girls. I think we know one is 14. I think one's the is the older one 14?
Older one.
Yeah, the older
is
14. The other's 12.
She's the one holding her back.
Hey, I'm fucking profit! You're fucking bad and
Why are you fucking with us?
These are fucking kid bashers!
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Get
Show
this
the knife.
fuck away from her!
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her!
That's it. That's it. Show the knife.
She has an axe and a knife.
Show the knife.
That's
it.
the I'm not getting raped face.
Her inventory is loaded.
Where's her fucking touching me? She's fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate! Where's her fucking touching me?
Yeah. Show the knife. Maracha.
Don't touch her! Don't to me! Don't touch her! Help, you don't there?
Yeah.
Who is she yelling at?
So she's yelling at, and is this it? No. There's another angle of it where it's basically 2 migrants that are coming at her, and she's trying to. Again, we're told that she is trying to get away from them and pushes back on this. It brings up a lot of stories about the grooming gangs that have gone up before. Okay, I'm not seeing those pictures. Serge, see if you can find the other angle of it. But going back to the article, she has now been charged. So the police get called. She has now been charged for brandishing weapons, rather a bladed weapon, by the way. Mm-hmm. This happened in Dundee, and Tate, you know a little bit about that. So she's been charged for brandishing weapons to try to defend herself against people who were harassed. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
okay.
those are the other guys here. I don't know how much zoom I can get, but
So they've already assaulted her, right? We
don't know. We don't know.
So
I think she's trying to prevent them, whatever they were doing. She's clearly saying, "Get away from me."
Right. I mean.
Well, Scotland's a weird experiment because England's obviously had this Boris wave of migrants, but they have 50 million people. Scotland has 6, so it's like you flood. No, it's 5.5 million. So it's like it doesn't take that many migrants to completely change the look of a city.
Yep.
In which case Dundee, which is already a pretty rough place, you introduce just a couple hundred migrants, it's really going to destroy the social trust of the city, and that's what you're saying here.
So you've been there though.
Yeah, I've been to Dundee.
How long ago?
Last time I was there, it would have been last spring, so the spring of the previous year.
Oh, it's not long ago at all.
Yeah.
So very recently. And you were saying you saw some migrants, but not as much as in other places?
Yeah, I mean, compared to like Glasgow and Edinburgh, you don't see as much. Like Dundee's still a very Scottish place, but it's a more working class town. They have
obviously
drug issues, unfortunately. And like I said, the migrants coming to Scotland, that's even after the Boris wave. It doesn't take very many to destabilize places like Dundee. These are not very large cities at all.
The first time I ever went to Scotland was, I think, in 2004, 2005. And then the last time that I was there was in 2019. And it's noticeably different.
If you go to like Govan in Glasgow, like 20 years ago, it was 100% Scottish.
Yep.
It was like an Irish Catholic neighborhood. And you go there now, and it literally feels like the Middle East. And it's like, you see these things at London. It's like, even in London, it still feels to a degree reminiscent of England. Like Govan, you have like people killing animals.
A lot of London feels like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, but it's unbelievable in Glasgow.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to Scotland. I've been to Dublin though, on the Ireland side, and it's the same thing in Dublin.
Yeah,
exact same thing.
So
the people that are there have absolutely been abused by their government because they didn't ask for this. There was no vote. They vote against it all the time, and the government does nothing at all about the violence that the migrants are bringing in, and you've got. Both the UK or both England and Scotland are subject to the same thing. I think it's the same kind of thing is going on in Ireland. But I'm not sure how bad.
Ireland, yeah.
But I mean, these people have to deal with this. They have to deal with basically changing the face of the country. And if they say, "Oh, we don't like this," or if they post about it on Facebook, they go to jail.
Yeah, well, you're seeing like in Northern Ireland, the Protestants and Catholics coming together. I mean, do you know how existential a threat has to be to bury that hatchet?
Right.
In this case, there's a hatchet involved as well. But I mean, yeah, it's totally insane. They're changing the entire composition of a country before our very eyes, and they're doing it very rapidly.
Completely engineered, right? And they're going to do that here. They were trying to do that here as well.
Yeah, yeah. And
so I mean, we gotta pull up some of the memes that people are making to stand in solidarity. We don't know her name. There's no GoFundMe or anything in terms of this. But people are just pointing it out that it's, I'm surprised no one's done like the Braveheart meme yet.
The internet is
so
crazy.
They've done that.
Have you seen the Braveheart? I haven't seen it. Okay, I've
seen her with the, even though like they keep the pants on, but the kilt, the same kilt from the show.
Yeah, here's one. This is great from SKS Cartoon. Make sure you go follow him. Why aren't there any men helping us? Britain has no men. We're on our own.
That's really poignant. Like, why are there no men that will stand up and say this is unacceptable?
There is, but they're all in jail, like at Southport. I mean, as soon as anybody tried to do something about it, they throw you in jail and don't explain it.
You know what's crazy isn't it? I think it's today or yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
And I saw that was going around a lot. And I remember when that happened live, I was watching it live. I remember, obviously, I've come to know Kyle, I've covered the case, et cetera. And this was the exact same argument that I kept making. They were like, well, why is a 17-year-old out there doing this? Like, why is he the only one out there? Where are the adults?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, where are the adults? Where are the people who put him in a situation where he's thinking somebody's got to stand up?
17, right? 16, 17?
He was 17.
Wow.
He was 17.
And
so not much older than this girl.
Yeah.
Became a man overnight, just like that. I mean, he took
yeah.
a matter. Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
what happened to that kid now? What's he
It's
doing?
like we all should have been there. He does work in the 2A community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
Also in Texas, by the way.
the UK is kind of an interesting case too. Like they actually have more of a propensity to push back on these sorts of things. I think presumably because it's denser areas, it's easier to organize quickly versus the United States. But the UK cracks down much harder. I mean, you tweet the wrong thing and you're gone.
They did the Studio Ghibli meme.
Yeah. But I mean, the people,
there's the Braveheart. Yeah.
the people in Scotland, the people in England, like they have allowed this to happen. Unfortunately, you can, and they've allowed their government to imprison people. Look, there are enough people that can stand up and go stand outside of the magistrate's office and say, "Let those guys out of jail." Right? Like if someone goes, because
This is the one. There it is. I don't know. That's it's not necessarily Braveheart. It's sort of a
Or Crusader.
No, that's the Crusader one.
chic. But even still, I mean, it's
Sentiments there.
It's Joan of Arc is the one that comes
Joan of
to
Arc,
mind.
yeah.
It just seems like a Joan of Arc.
Just think how close we were to being like that as a society if Kamala would have won, dude. I mean, seriously. Think of the chaos. How crazy things would have been.
Yeah, I mean, well, the UK is interesting because it does feel like a testing ground for what they want to implement.
Oh, yeah,
in the
it
US
is.
to a large degree.
it'll be worse here because they're not going to be able to get rid
Be
of
careful,
guns.
just like scrolling through Twitter on this you never know what's going to pop up.
Seriously, the fact that the United States has so many guns, you're not getting rid of them. So
Yeah.
things like this, it wouldn't just be some girl fighting with knives, and it also means that the aggressive people that are looking to violate other people's rights, they're going to have guns as well.
Right.
So you're going to, like, the idea of a civil war or something that turns into serious problems, like, it would be way worse in the United States than in
much
the
worse.
UK.
Yeah. Well, and also the sources of migration. That this is what separates Europe from the U.S. is most of our migration over the last few decades has been from Latin America, which culturally, obviously, it's still different, but it's more similar to the U.S. versus Europe. It's coming from the Middle East and North Africa.
Right.
Vastly different civilization. Well, now the U.S. is starting to get migrants
Yes.
from the Middle East, North Africa, and also South Asia who are dramatically different from us. And so the UK is a bit of a trailer.
Dude, they're setting up whole communities in Texas like Plano.
Oh,
it's all
yeah.
Sharia Muslims. I mean, it's crazy. Like massive communities being funded by Dearborn, all of them connected to Dearborn, different cities in America, all interconnected. I mean, it was about to kick off here, I think. And then I think Trump, man, came in, and what he's doing right now with the troops and everything he's doing is exactly what I voted in for.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
You know?
Texas, you get the big monkey statue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's great. It's like, oh, this won't stand in Texas, but it's like it's happening everywhere.
Right.
So it's like you could say, oh, well, let Zoran, sink New York City. It's like there's monkey statues in Texas. Like this is a nationwide problem.
Well,
But what Trump's doing right now with the cleanup is the cure has to be greater than the disease. It just does. And that's what he's doing. The cure right now is that, and people can say what they want, but he's doing exactly what we voted him in for.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, the UK is in serious trouble. I mean, like I said earlier, they're able to organize a bit quicker just because of how their society and communities are structured. But I mean, the fact you can't even tweet like very, very innocent stuff without going to jail. I mean, I agree with you. Like, the men do need to be stepping up. But like I said earlier, a lot of the men that have stepped up are in jail because, like you saw with Southport. Now you're seeing it where they're
because you can't even whisper something, you go to jail.
You can't even hang a St. George's cross up on a lamppost.
That's how they get you.
Investigated by the police.
They're always like all the guys that are doing that. They're always wearing masks to conceal their identity and stuff.
With all the problems we have in the U.S., it's like that is not something you have to.
So here's the thing, though: if you do defend the girl, here's what happens: you become the next Daniel Penny, or I think there was just a story of some guy in Germany who defended some chick that was on a bus or something.
It was American.
He turned up into a piece of sliced cake.
It was an American.
His whole face was all cut up.
You become the next Daniel Penny, but you don't have the same outcome as Daniel Penny because the jury put you in jail for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's the best case. Worst case is you just get stabbed or killed, and nobody praises you, more or less, or you're demonized if anything goes wrong.
There's a lot that goes on, and specifically in Scotland, I know it well, that happens, incidents like this happening in Glasgow and Edinburgh and Dundee and Alloa, and it's kind of off the books a little bit. Like, this stuff kind of gets resolved out away from the peering eyes of cameras and that sort of thing. This just happens to be an incident where it's been captured.
Yeah, it's time.
There is some pushback off camera.
It's time for CIA to start running guns to England, to the underground in England. CIA's done it. CIA's done it all over the world. They can do it in the UK. Start,
Let's go.
If there's anybody in Langley listening,
if you're watching,
regime change I can get behind.
Well, I mean, look,
real regime
I'm telling you, man, you go and you take back the UK, right? We should go and mass in France, go over the channel, take back the UK, and then we're heading to Jerusalem.
Well, yeah, like, I'm of English stock. The UK is kind of like my Israel in a lot of ways. It's kind of the Holy Land. You go there, you get.
You guys have a wall over there?
Full English breakfast.
You have a wall.
It really feels
Which
connected.
one's the best wall?
Feel connected in some way.
Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah, Hadrian's Wall. I do a little
let's
prayer.
go to the wall.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing, and I really.
Which is supposed to keep out it was supposed to be the border with Scotland.
Right, it's not doing its job.
No, it's not doing its job.
Put a few extra feet on it, but.
This reminds me a little bit of the funniest thing that Tim's ever said. It was the after show, and then he had like a caller from Ireland saying that he wants to immigrate to the United States, and he was like, "No, stay in Ireland." And like, if there were enough immigrants that went to Ireland, like they'd take over and they'd take back Northern Ireland. Unlike you native Irish people who would never have the balls to do that. It was the most audacious thing. It was like, "Yo, make Ireland great again." Yeah, it was a very damn moment. I was like,
Dang.
"Yeah, that's my boss." I miss that guy, huh?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot going on.
fine.
We covered a protest that was going on in Kerry in Ireland not too long ago, and they had tens of thousands of people were out. It was on remigration. It was about Take Back Ireland. Conor McGregor, of course, has been out, very much outspoken on this, kind of flirting with the idea of even running for president, talking about this kind of thing, that we need to take back Ireland for the Irish. And it's really amazing, right? When you look at places like Ireland, like Scotland, that have fought for their independence for so long and have fought tooth and nail, right? So Ireland, an example, has fought the British for, hundreds of years in if you look at the totality of it, in order to get back their island, to get their island back. And then they'll sit there and say, "Oh, but we also have to let in, so many people. Oh, well, the Irish went everywhere, so sure Jesus, we should be allowing them to come here." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
Isn't that a part of Catholicism? And like, there are a lot of different Catholic charities, and as I understand, in our country, who does want to advance a lot more.
Well, it's not
immigration,
part of Catholicism, but it's yes,
based in their faith.
There are readings of it, but I would argue that those are false interpretations. But yes, certainly Catholic
a lot
charities,
of false interpretations, but very common false interpretations.
Certainly Catholic charities, yeah. There's Catholic charities. There's Lutherans. There's other other religions have this as well. So it's one that's a huge problem where they come in. I don't know how big they are specifically in Ireland. It wouldn't surprise me though if it was also going on. It's definitely
Pope Leo's for immigration, right? I mean, that's what he.
Yeah, Pope Leo has said that he's for for open borders, and he's spoken out, and it's like, for all of like the good that I think that he said about other things, that one of the things that, and CNN was, because we covered the conclave over there in Rome, and they were coming at me for saying, look, I don't think this is the conservative candidate that conservatives wanted, and I get all my trad cath bros be like, what do you mean? He's got the vestments, and he's like open to the Latin mass, and this, and he's good on same-sex marriage, and he's good on abortion.
I think he was perfectly picked.
And I say, yeah, but it's
to go
against
against Trump, to oppose Trump.
The borders issue. He hasn't really been coming out against Trump. To be fair, he hasn't really been.
But I mean,
making
open
the statements.
he wants open borders, immigration. What do you think that says to the immigrants?
He's been undercutting for sure, but he hasn't been in the way Francis was. I mean, he hasn't been this direct. But at the same time, open borders and mass migration is the seminal issue of our time. There's no question, specifically in the West. And if you're going to sit there and act like it's not an issue,
and it's part of the globalist agenda, right?
100%.
So,
it is destabilization of our countries.
Yeah.
Right. And so he is kind of like an opposing factor to Trump, which is kind of like they pick this guy from Chicago, they bring him in, he wants open borders. I'm surprised he hasn't been as voiced as, I mean, I haven't really heard much from him. Like, I thought he was going to be much more of a thorn in Trump's side than he is.
Well, there was a reading on that, but one of the other big issues, too, is that the Vatican's kind of broke right now. And church collections have been down, revenues.
The Vatican's broke?
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy wow! I never thought I'd ever hear that.
Yeah, go check out some of the Vatican bank scandals that have gone on lately. The huge London real estate scandals they've been involved in. Just the money's down. Money's been down worldwide for the Catholics, and they can point to numbers that have been church growth in Africa and South America, but that hasn't led to the type of money that you'd need to come in. And in places like where I'm from, the Philadelphia area, I mean, you see churches closing every day.
Yeah, less and less people are going, and more people are in Zoom. And more people are attending church on Zoom.
And so one of the other reasons that they wanted to choose an American Pope is because, given the combativeness that Pope Francis had, and a lot of the confusion, I think that a lot of his policies were going towards some of those really big dollar. America's the world's largest economy.
So are you Catholic?
So I am, yeah.
So I was raised Catholic. I was an altar boy.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so was I. And so they want to get more access to that American big dollar donor market, and they think you get an American, that's someone who can walk right at Villanova University, which is in the Philly area. So I almost went to Villanova, where he went as undergrad. So I mean, it's a huge Catholic.
Do you attend church? Do you go to church
every week? Yeah.
Really? See, I wish better man than I. I mean, I try to read the Bible as much as I can, but yeah, I mean. I've kind of fallen away from the Catholic Church at least. But
check out Latin Mass. Check out Latin Mass. It's great. It's so cool. It's like the old school. It's hardcore, right? No English. Well, the homily, like the sermon, in English, but it's way more traditional and I think a lot more solemn than the modern Vatican II.
Okay, so you are for this Pope or against this Pope?
I see a lot of good in terms of some of those traditional items, but I just think he's got to get his head right on immigration. I think it's the biggest issue.
So I mean, I think it's worth mentioning too that I know a Jewish person talking a lot about Catholicism right now, but the American brand of Catholicism is a little bit different than the global brand of Catholicism. The American Catholicism is a lot more right-wing than global Catholicism. It's worth mentioning too.
It depends. There's different strains even in America, though.
Sure. No, but worldwide, generally, as I understand, our American version of Catholicism is a little bit more right-leaning. I think it's also worth mentioning 40% of Catholics are from Latin America. So I feel like it would make sense for the Pope to be very open towards immigration
that's my point.
And towards people in Latin America.
And he spent a ton of his career as a priest down in Peru.
Yeah. It makes sense because that's where global Catholicism. I'm reading right now. There's 500 some odd million Catholics in Latin America.
Huge growth in South America, Latin America, and in Africa, but at the same time, and Asia as well. But at the same time, they just don't have the economic pull that Americans do.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it stands to reason why there would be some religious. Affinity for Latin Americans who are Catholic, and that Catholic organizations in our country would want to try to reach out to these people and help them because they believe in Jesus and they believe the same things they do, and on a religious affiliation basis.
So what's great though is that and you do have these different strains of political thought arising from Catholicism, and that for like the trad caths, we would kind of point more towards Cardinal Sarah. who is African, and a cardinal of the church, but he would say, people should go back to their home countries because this dilution is causing confusion, it's causing destabilization, it's causing all the issues.
But if you were a globalist, wouldn't he be the perfect pick, Pope Leo? Wouldn't he be the perfect plant to go against Trump? I mean, give the immigrants the righteous indignation to fight against Trump, to feel righteous about what they're doing. Pick a guy that's from Chicago. Pick a pope that's open borders. Do you get what I'm saying here?
Oh, yeah.
That, to me, that's just like the perfect plant.
Absolutely.
And I, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's the way I see it. I mean, really, that's really.
You're not the only one saying it.
It's good for the Catholic brand per se.
Right.
To be
Yeah.
an ambassador.
Well, it's like kind of what you're saying. Like you get this thing online where you'll see specifically like really trad cath types like chest beat, and they'll post a map showing like how widespread Catholicism has become in the United States. But then it overlays with like migration from Latin America over the last 30 years. So it's like, because if you look at broadly, if you look at the demographics of the United States, the religious demographics, there's been a huge outpouring of Catholics into like non-denominational churches.
In my opinion, it doesn't matter if there's an influx or an uptick in how many Catholics they are. If too many of them are liberation theology Catholics,
Sure.
which is
And
just
that's what you get from
leftism.
South America.
Yeah,
a
which is
lot.
exactly that's just leftism.
Like
having
Is that true? I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with
liberation theology.
Big time.
It's leftist.
That's the brand of Latin American
It's leftist
Catholicism.
infiltration of the Catholic Church using the Word of God to forward leftist agendas.
Right, it's because when Marxism goes to different areas, what it does is it adopts to whatever the climate of that area is, right? The political climate, the cultural climate. And so because Latin America and South America were already Catholic, they said, okay, well, we're going to combine through like almost like this syncretism, this idea of, okay, we're going to put it's what's Catholic, and we're supporting the rights of the people to migrate, but it's also Marxist, right?
Yeah.
And which is weird because
Seems contradictory.
It seems contradictory because typically when the Marxists do take power,
contradictory.
the very first thing they do in places like, Catholic France or Catholic Spain start killing the priests and and raping the nuns on the altar and smashing churches. And you see that they do this in Mexico. They do it again and again and again. But to your point, it's this other strain of Marxism that's infiltrating through the church.
When people say that like Marxism will take over whatever you love and wear it like a skin suit, that's not just a figure of speech.
Yeah.
That is how Marxism operates.
Well, they did it to they've done it but they've also done it to the mainline churches in the U.S. I mean, you look at historically, who were the founding fathers? They were like Episcopalians, they were Presbyterians, and you look at those denominations now, and it's like that's where you get the pride flags, the lesbian preachers, and everything. Like it's a total nightmare.
We had I was at the national prayer. Service that right after Trump got inaugurated with J.D. Vance, and we had the female bishop in the national cathedral, and I was like, well, okay, first time seeing a lady priest. Let's see how this goes. And then and what does she do?
Wasn't she talking trash to Trump right there?
Yeah, she gives a homily or I guess a sermon. She gives a sermon saying that that no one is illegal and people shouldn't be deported. And you could see the president kind of sitting there like, what's going on? and we're just a couple rows back, and it got really
very uncomfortable
for everybody. Yeah. What is he going to do something? So. To credit to him, being a gentleman, he didn't say anything or do anything at the time. But I think, even before he made it back to the White House, he's up on Truth Social.
Yeah, he went right at it. But that's what the Marxists are doing, right? They're taking over the schools, indoctrination camps, the churches. It's all captured operations. Yep.
Yeah.
All captured operations. Every institution and organization now has been captured, and we're trying to untangle that web right now with Trump and break free of this.
Well, while we're talking about that, we had a huge debate last night about freedom of speech and whether burning a flag constitutes freedom of speech. This is going viral. Yeah. I've gotten so many messages about it. Great discussion. And so here, and I'd love to, by the way, for all of those people who were so supportive of the rights to burn the American flag. Okay, all right, that's your statement. That's freedom of speech. Are you also going to support the freedom of speech of Shiloh Hendrix?
Of course.
Because Shiloh Hendrix has now been charged. So who was Shiloh Hendricks? Let's remember this.
She got a dirty mouth.
She went viral for language that she used at a Rochester park in a video that went viral. This is out of the Minnesota Star Tribune. She has hurled racial slurs. Now, this claims that she hurled them at a child, although that's not what we see in the video. And it says she is being charged. Serge, can we see what she was charged with, or is there a paywall on this thing?
So I'm new to it. Is this a white woman yelling at a black kid or a black woman?
She's a white woman, and we're told that there was an altercation between her and a black child, but that's not what we see. What we see in the video is another guy who's sort of following her, chasing her, harassing her, saying, "I'm filming you. I'm coming. I'm going to make you famous." Puts it on TikTok. It racks up millions and millions.
And now
of
she's
views.
famous. Wow.
She
made her $1 million.
She uses, she says the N-word in the video, says it
to a child, though.
Well, she's saying it to the guy filming in the video. Now, he's saying that he claimed that she said it to the child. I want to give out what was she charged with? She said, she admitted to calling him the offensive
disorderly
slur
conduct,
and said that she can call him that if he acts like one. So she kind of admits saying it in the video. So even though we don't have the video of it, she admits it in this later video. What's she been charged with? 3 counts of disorderly conduct.
So I can see the disorderly conduct, right?
Now she raised a ton of money on Give, Send, Go. This was in the wake of Carmelo Anthony. Wow. And I want to. Do we have the Give, Send, Go? Do we know how much money she raised? I think it was $1 million, right?
It was $1 million. I think it was $1 million.
I want to say it was $1 million. I don't know what it's exactly at right
That's
now.
That's last I checked, yeah.
But I believe she raised $1 million off of this.
Wow.
So here we go. Freedom of speech by the way, and I'm just going to say it, for saying a word that black people say all the time.
Nonstop.
To each other. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
They don't land the R. Was she landing the R? I mean, they just say,
but this is the debate I want to get into, right? So the debate is that for all of the people who say that it's freedom of speech to burn a flag, then what about Shiloh Hendricks' freedom of speech to
I'm gonna
call a child the N-word?
It is freedom of speech. It is freedom of speech. You should be able to say what the hell you want to say in America. Now, whether you agree with it or not, that's up to that person. But if this guy wants to call me a dirty spick, he can call me a dirty spick all he wants.
But what if I want to come up to your child and call your child a dirty
That's your. I'll knock you out.
Well,
but then, but I mean, still, it's his freedom of speech, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
So it saves you from consequences from the government, but not necessarily.
Right,
people.
absolutely.
We're getting
but was she just going out? No, and again, like
I don't know. Was there more to the story?
So I think there's. I think, and I don't know if the video up.
I would never know.
You're Hispanic?
They did say though.
We're going to a bar after this.
They did. I believe she said that the kid was going through her bag. Was like so when you go and I'll just say this, having taken the kids to the playground, to go to the park, you have like your baby bag, your kid bag that's there. You bring some drinks, some food, some whatever. It's there. And then someone starts going through your bag, and you're like, "Hey, that's not."
But it was a child. It was just a child going through.
It was the child that was going through.
Sweetheart, that's my bag.
We don't know exactly what happened before the video, and that's what I want to say. And I always say that with viral videos, that whenever you see some video that goes crazy viral, that is going out. George Floyd is of course the quintessential example of this. Show me what happened 5 minutes before.
Right.
Show me what happened 5 minutes before I have to come in. And pass judgment, because if we don't have that rule, if you don't have the 5 minutes rule, then all of a sudden we're going to become this country that's just ruled by whatever video is going.
Just everyone's reactionary.
And that shouldn't be our system.
So I think the conversation that we're having, the ideas that we're debating with, is it's a very complex free speech issue that we're dealing with. I think a quote that's often misattributed to Voltaire, it succinctly describes what we're working with. Like he allegedly said, I know I'm misattributing this quote, but I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Right. I think the idea here is that, let's say a government that you don't like eventually gets into power and has other things that they want to allege could potentially produce riots, and therefore you shouldn't be able to burn trans flags. So it really depends. The issue is giving the government the power to do
You already
those.
can't burn a trans flag.
You can burn a trans flag, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as you're concerned, but I'm saying
no. As the law is actually concerned, I think you're misattributing like a story that didn't exactly line up with somebody actually burning a trans flag. Also, it's worth mentioning that the law that's actually passed is in regard to like somebody burning a flag and then inciting a riot. As a result of it, trying to incite a riot, I think, is what the actual charge is here. But it's like how far?
And we covered that last night. I made that.
What was the story of somebody burning the trans flag?
No. I'm talking about the American flag EO. I made the distinction that what was passed yesterday, it was basically taking that idea that you're not going to be charged directly for the burning of the flag, but it's the incitement.
Yeah. So it's an additional other things. I think this would be a limit on free speech, although I am very conflicted. I love our country. I love the country's values. I love what the flag symbolizes. But I'm conflicted on using the law and trying to arrest people and using law enforcement as a result of that. And where would we eventually draw the line? And will eventually these laws be used against me?
One of the things that people consistently were saying to me on Twitter is, first of all, they were like, well, all the stuff about the trans flag or people that were doing burnouts on the rainbow crosswalks and blah, blah, blah. That is all the idea that anyone should be prosecuted for that is also ridiculous, right? Like that shouldn't be any kind of defense, because nobody that burns a trans flag or does a burnout on a rainbow cross, none of them should actually be prosecuted. There should never be an arrest. People bring up hate crimes. I don't think that hate crimes are real, because hate crimes are thought crimes.
Right.
Like there should not be any hate crimes. If you commit a violent act to someone, that's what you should be prosecuted for. All a hate crime is a thought crime, and that is outside of the realm of the government. So like,
well, in this case,
these are not particularly complex.
Getting it back to Shiloh Hendricks, we now have word crime.
Yeah, of course, that should not be a crime.
And let's think about that, right? If she had cursed, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate, if she had cursed at the child, would she be getting charged? Probably not.
No,
like get the F
but she
get the F
used
away.
the N word.
Get the F. But if she said "get the F away from my bag," which she may have said, would she be probably getting charged? No. Right. So
she's kind of in the right. The kid was messing with her property. I mean, I can see that, but none of us would handle that like that. But
I think it's rude.
It's very rude, right? Rude. But that's it. But did she go ballistic and crazy afterwards and keep yelling at the kid? Is that what happened? I haven't even seen.
We don't know. Right, we don't know exactly what happened, and that's getting back to my 5 minutes rule. We don't know exactly what happened, but what I'm saying is, it was a playground thing, right? These things happen all the time on playgrounds where there's some altercation, something goes wrong. It doesn't seem like anyone was, physically hurt here in any way. Thank God. It doesn't seem like,
because if she just said something like, "Hey, get out of my bag," and then said the N word, and like, okay, but if she kept calling the kid names and like berating the kid, that's like abuse, right? Right, kind of.
That will come up, I'm sure. But what about the fact that the person who was harassing her caused her to be doxxed, caused them to go after her family, clearly is, and by the way, is also doxing her child, putting it up to get social media clout, to get clicks, et cetera, et cetera.
And now she's a millionaire.
What if everybody in the story is deplorable and just sucks? What about, if everybody, I don't need to feel bad about anybody here. The little kid sucks for reaching to the bag. The way the kid's parent or guardian reacted sucks.
We have no idea where the first parent is, by the way, the parent of the 5-year-old that's going in the bag, because the person who's filming is not their parent.
Oh, okay.
So we have no idea where that parent is. So that's the very first thing, by the way. And again, I'll be consistent, right? If I said that I would go down on my kid and bring him to, come down on my kid and go to the, take him to the police station if he did something that like Roger Jackson did, then in the same token as this, if my kid is going through somebody else's bag at the playground, say, hey, what are you doing?
My mom gave the principal the right to spank me and beat my ass, and also my neighbors.
And that was just last week.
Did they take the opportunity?
I kind of enjoyed it. No, really. When I was a kid, I'd hold on to the desk and bend over, and I'm like, oh,
damn.
Well, bam.
Hashtag West Virginia Nights.
And my mom was like, yeah, I know, but my mom was like, you deserve that. My mom would give me preemptive ass beatings before I'd walk into a store. She'd hit me and say, you better not do this or that. I mean, I was raised that way. I was raised with ass kickings all the time. Probably that's why I'm the way I am now. But I'm just saying, but I mean, I understand it. Like, I mean, kids could be animals do. They could be just, for me growing up, I was always in trouble, so I expected that. But I mean, my mom gave the neighbors permission. Like, look, if he jumps on your roof and does that again, beat his ass.
Right. And so did she go overboard in throwing the M-word at a 5-year-old? Yeah, you could say that she did.
Dude, my mom called me some names. I don't want to repeat them.
But at the same time, where's the first parent, of that child? If you get a 5-year-old at a playground, you're not paying attention to him. That's a very young age. That is not the age of a kid that should just be, let out on themselves.
I agree with that 100%.
She's probably on her phone. She's probably like looking for the next TikTok video, thinking, oh, what's up next? And I see that too, by the way. I see that, and that's not a racial thing. That's just, parents are on their phones way too much. And I try very cognizantly to get myself away from the phone.
I don't know, man. Times have changed so much. When I was younger.
But the point is, should you face charges for that?
I don't think so.
Should you face charges for that? Or should that be something that really probably should have stayed it should have stayed on the playground. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, me growing up, my mom used to beat the crap out of my friends, and my friends' mothers used to beat the crap out of me. Everyone, I mean, it was just the way it was. I don't think I definitely not be charged for that. 100% no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the charges are warranted. And that's why, by the way, when it comes to the flag burning stuff, I'm going to say, look, we already have de facto speech codes in this country.
Right.
And that's essentially what this is. It is a de facto speech code that already exists. It is a standard and a precedent that has already been set. You can argue over when it was set, but it's been set. And it's currently set. We do not live in a free speech society. Mm-hmm. We don't.
Yeah, nobody's principled in their belief in free speech. I don't think so. People like to LARP and posture as if they are, but when push comes to shove on an issue that they care about, it kind of goes out the window.
My principle is reward patriots, punish non-patriots.
Exactly.
That's my principles.
Yeah.
Like, you can't burn the flag. Full stop. I don't have to justify this.
Should you be able to talk trash about the flag?
Founders wouldn't have tolerated this.
You have the right to do.
I mean,
not anymore. Not as of yesterday.
No kidding. Guys, I'm sitting here with like a third of my arm as the 13 colonies flag, and I'm still saying, hey, it's okay. It's not going to hurt the United States. I know the argument that was being made, this is about demoralization.
This absolutely hurts.
I don't think that it hurts. I disagree. I don't think that it actually hurts.
You could have yanked those people off the street.
There's no way to raise
disagree.
kids.
Totally
There's no way to raise kids to value their country if you also teach them it's okay to burn the flag.
You tell your kids that the people that are actually burning the flag are the scum of the earth.
Right.
And again, I'm the guy that's got the only guy here that's got the flag tattooed on his body.
Just because it isn't illegal doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we also need to. I detest anybody who would, but you have the right to do it.
I don't agree with it, but if someone wants to burn the flag, I'm just going to look at them and be like, what a moron, and just
even
keep
worse
walking.
than that. I'm going to detest you and loathe you, and I think you should be.
Yeah, or you can just go to jail
because it's an uncontrolled burn because it's a crime.
So
what do they say? So you could burn a flag in your own home if it's privately, but if you're inciting.
So the current EO does not cover that. So if you went on Amazon, I said this last night, if you went on Amazon and you purchased a flag and you brought it home, and I think there was some like 2A guy was thought he'd be like edgy, and he had one of those handheld flags,
Gunko pop guy.
And he burned it today. Look at me. And it's like, well, the EO doesn't cover that. The EO says when you're at a riot or in a public setting and you are going to incite imminent illegal action or violence, that is the time when the DOJ is directed to go after you.
See, I think this is all, man, I don't know how much time we have left, but I just want to say, I think this is going in a direction where I think Trump is preparing for something big, man. And I think it's like, I'm serious. There's National Guards on the streets. I think it's getting ready.
It's not protected speech. It's never been.
I mean, what happened in June? You saw those kids are burning cars, flags.
And just to get into it again, I mean, I said this last night. I don't want to repeat myself, but this is a Marxist argument. It is absolutely a Marxist twisting of the First Amendment to claim that expression is speech. The pro-life movement fought against Roe v. Wade for years and years and years, and finally got it overturned because they were able to prove that it wasn't in the Constitution. Protection of flag burning is nowhere near in the Constitution. Believe it or not, it was decided a decade after Roe v. Wade. So Roe v. Wade was around for much longer than flag burning was protected, and yet people want to sit here and act like the founding fathers would have supported that. It's just not true. It's a completely Marxist argument that came up at the kind of the tail end of the counterculture, sort of 60s radicals revolution. They finally get this decision out of the Supreme Court in 1989. And it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. It's antithetical to our history.
Right.
And it's Marxist. It's
And the founders went further with the John Adams with the Sedition Act in 1789.
100%.
It's like the flag burning would have been completely, that would have gotten you ostracized and probably mobbed. They even went further with like just basic criticism. I'm not saying that's neither here nor there, but to act like the founders would have been this like, oh yeah, that's totally fine, burn it. That's just part of our rights. I'm fine. It's like, that's not how American structure.
I don't agree with it at all. I don't think you should burn a flag. Absolutely not. But you should have the right to do it. If you're an idiot, you have the right to be an idiot.
Wait, but that's Marxism.
Yeah.
That is a Marxist argument that has come up only started in the Marxist in the 1960s.
People deploy the same argument with pornography.
Right.
That's how they defend the use of pornography. They're saying, well, I disagree with it, but you have the right to do it. I'm like, but this is clearly destructive to everyone.
How many years did states have obscenity laws?
Yeah. Obscenity laws, blasphemy laws.
Guys,
I mean, you're making a good point. Like, if your girlfriend or your wife sends naked pictures of herself, your wife, for context, right? So say your wife sends you naked pictures. That's pornography.
Right. That's different than publishing pornography.
Why?
Because this is distribution to the public with an attempt to sway society.
It's not to sway society.
What we're arguing, right? But what he's arguing, and what I'm trying to argue is that this is our actual history, right? So for people who want to claim that, the founder, like it's a foundational belief of America that you have to allow for flag burning and pornography and all this stuff. No, it's just not true. It's never been true. It is an ahistorical Marxist argument.
And so I disagree that it's a Marxist argument, but
you're promoting Marxism, Phil.
Yeah, like I said, I disagree that it's a Marxist argument.
Go talk to the Marxists
with the American flag on his arm. You Marxist!
Yeah, right.
While we're getting deeply engaged in the philosophical debate here,
I'm still going to defend the right of people to do what they want. If they want to burn a flag, you have the right to do that. If I agree, I don't agree with it, but I don't agree with it.
Karl Marx would be so happy with you right now.
The president,
Karl Marx would love you.
I think the president is a lot more pragmatic in what he's doing for political reasons. So I think the president is extremely effective at baiting Democrats and stupid people in the media into taking his bait. So what do I mean by that? When he says he's sending the National Guard into D.C. to fight crime, he's making Democrats defend crime. So now when he's saying he's going to make burning the flags illegal, he's going to make Democrats defend burning flags. And he's putting them in this rhetorical argument where they're being forced to defend the worst things because it's what he is doing. So as far as being like a pragmatic political operator, I think Trump's very effective in what he's trying to set Democrats up to do.
Setting traps.
That's what I think he's doing here. I don't think he cares about the philosophy or is it right or wrong. He's thinking, burning flags, is bad enough. I'm going to make the Democrats defend burning flags.
Well, not only
I'm going to make Democrats defend crime.
He's going to get them to do that. Well, Trump says I can't do this. I'm going to do it. And now they're going to burn flags.
Go be principled in your free speech and burn a flag. See how much the public likes that. But I think that's what the president is baiting people into doing. He is a very savvy political operator in how he's behaving here. That's what I think people should be 3D chess thinking about these Trump moves, because these moves didn't come out of nowhere, right? He's trying to set up a narrative.
Yeah, but flag burning's been controversial for like 30 years. This isn't like a recent just Trump giving.
Well, he's bringing it back into the news.
Funny enough, Hillary Clinton actually supported this in 2005.
Go figure.
When she was a senator, this was something that was so, it was so like quote unquote popular, in rally around the flag, post 9/11 environment, that even Hillary was like, yeah, we should get on board with this.
So rare Hillary a W, I guess.
So we all saw what happened in June, right? They're waving the Mexican flag, they're burning American flags. The riots, the protests that happened in LA.
We talked about this a ton last night. Exactly.
So obviously, I feel with him putting the troops on the streets in D.C., getting ready now, 19 states, I think he's getting ready for something much bigger, and this is all the moves he's making is alluding to this, to me. From what I can see from a 60,000-foot view is I think something bigger is coming around the corner, and he's preparing for it with protests and civil unrest. And I think that could be maybe when people start getting arrested, dog. I'm just saying, because if they'll do it for George Floyd, if they'll protest for George Floyd.
So what you're saying is, and if I hear this right, because this EO, and Elaad pointed out that it's very specifically talking about these instances at, in public, and
yes, he's getting ahead of the ball.
So he's thinking something's going to happen.
He's thinking like a general. He sees what's coming. He's like, okay, because if they'll riot and protest when George Floyd got arrested, right? Your liberal next door was rioting and protesting. Everyone was going crazy. So if they'll do that with George Floyd, what are they going to do? Let's say, I don't know, Hillary, Obama gets arrested. Let's say that comes.
Wow.
He's getting ahead of the ball here with this. So he's setting his chess pieces and he's setting his chess pieces in order here to make those moves. He's moving in the troops. He's setting the perimeters. Do you guys get what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Stop getting my hopes up.
I'm telling you, this is coming. I can see, dude.
I would love it. I would love it.
I've been watching.
Phil's going to be sitting there.
I've been watching.
Why are you arresting the flag burners?
No, but
Stop!
what he's
Look at my
doing is
tattoo. Please.
I bet
Out of your mind, Jack.
Stop
Out of
arresting.
your
He's going to be
mind.
crying.
Out of your mind.
Puddles
He's going to be
of tears.
singing.
I know you all are
Sinking
thinking
into
the
puddles
same
of
thing.
I didn't know that you were so into straw men.
Defending the
straw
United
man,
States.
straw
Defending
man
the flag.
arguments.
I didn't really want to go
know that
there
liberals
with this.
accuse him of that all the time.
Defending
Unreal.
defending
Unreal.
flag. I will always. Look,
I mean,
It's a straw man argument. I never said that I'm like, oh, the poor guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that people should not go to jail for it. So making it out like I'm like some kind of bleeding heart liberal is ridiculous.
But dude, what are they going to do?
You are
when
kind
they-
of simping for flag burners.
I'm not simping for flag burners at all. I haven't said, oh, the poor flag burners or anything. I'm saying that the principle of free expression and free speech includes flag burning.
Where is the word- where is
If
the
you
word
don't
free
agree with it,
expression
that's
in the
fine. But to
Constitution?
sit there
Where
and
is that in the
straw man me
Constitution?
is just
All right,
bullshit.
okay. Where's free expression in the Constitution? Please,
So
please
I said
pull it up.
I said free expression and free speech.
Well, okay,
are two
great.
different-
So
yeah.
pull up free expression in the Constitution.
So I know that I'm aware that it's not in the Constitution.
So just pull it up for me.
I just told you I'm aware that free expression is not in the Constitution, but freedom of association isn't in it either. But people on the right always say, "Oh, we should have
Freedom of assembly is there.
Freedom of association, which is different than freedom. If you're going to say that freedom of assembly is the same thing as freedom of association, then freedom of expression is the same thing as freedom of speech.
No, physical act is not speech.
I'm saying that if
Pornography
you're,
is not
if you're
speech.
going to
Burning a
make
flag
the
is not
argument that they're the same, then
Abortion is not privacy.
I'm not making the argument that abortion's privacy.
No, I'm just saying these are things that Marxists did to our Constitution to twist the meaning of words to get people to suddenly say, oh, well, I'm defending freedom by defending all these things that degrade, demoralize, and destroy my country.
So like I said, the freedom of speech, I think that if you burn the flag, that's expressing yourself. It's
That's not in the
speech.
Constitution.
It's speech is in the
Just show me where it is in the
Constitution.
Constitution.
It's speech. The point is it's speech. You keep saying, show me where it's in the
I agree with
Constitution.
you.
I
I agree
told
with
you,
you, but it's not speech.
I straight
I don't
up
have to
just
agree with it,
told
but
you. I'm aware that, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but
No, but I'm with you.
You're twisting the words of the Constitution
I'm not
to,
twisting.
to achieve a goal that the communists want.
Is pornography
But
speech?
can I just?
I think it's fine.
You think?
I don't think that it's. I don't.
Is
I
it
think
speech? How
that.
is
I think
it
that it's.
speech?
I think that personally. I think
there
that
are sometimes speech.
I think,
Hashtag West Virginia Nights.
I think that speech does cover
So I
freedom
hear.
of
So I hear.
expression because you're expressing.
Can I
yourself.
just say this?
Expression is not speech.
I think what he's doing here is brilliant in a way, and I agree with you. By the way, I agree with you, but I think he's putting his chess pieces in position for what do the liberals love to do when they're protesting and chanting and rioting? They burn flags, dude. He's getting ready. He's getting ahead of the ball. I'm telling you, he's like a war general. He sees what's coming. Something big's gonna come. Do you agree with me?
I think he's just baiting libs. He's baiting
And
libs to defend
what's
this.
gonna happen is they're gonna go crazy.
right.
I'm telling you, bro.
I hope
Watch.
you're right.
I mean, I agree that I think that is what he's doing.
And that he did the same thing on crime. He was baiting libs to say, "Oh no, a few muggings are okay, like a few shootings."
But
it's not
I
that
think
bad."
he believes it too. I mean, to be fair, like I think
he's
He's
against
doing
flag
it
burning.
as a savvy political move. I think this other
patriot.
stuff is immaterial to him. I think he's just very savvy politically.
I think
see
he's
it
a
as-
patriot and he
I
loves
see-
America and he hates to see that happening.
I don't think we're seldom going to see this invoked.
I see
someone in the
with
chat
what
is
he's doing,
asking,
I see-
can we burn Phil's arm as free speech?
No, but I see with what
Get
Trump is
shot.
doing with the troops and everything he's doing, he is setting his pieces up It's strategy. The whole flag burning thing. It's all strategy. I think what's coming. He's preparing for something he knows they're going to be set off.
It's so funny. By the way, it's funny because there's a bunch of people in the chat who are like, Posobiec is making things is wrong, and I'm like, guys, it's not in the Constitution. It's just not there. Like you can claim it as all you want, but it's just not there. The same way that abortion is not in the Constitution. It's just not.
Do you
there.
want to pivot to super chats? I feel like
we do have to. Yeah, we do have to.
I feel bad for those.
Serge has been texting me for a while, and so I'm looking at the chats, and I do want to get that. And
I feel like we never run through the super chats enough.
We don't want to search.
I'm a 3-time Trump voter and longtime Timcast fan. A lot of the staff and the right in general now flirt with authoritarianism. If you say F the rules, F principles, how are you better than Beto? I'm the only one here who's actually reading the Constitution and defending it.
The thing is, the Constitution says a lot of things that don't exist in reality right now. Tell me what the Second Amendment is right now. I cannot have equal rights to a firearm. I cannot carry a firearm in most of the places that I live actively. But it's the Second Amendment. Oh, it's in the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution doesn't apply to most of the things in our practical real life right now, where there are more laws added after the fact
that doesn't mean you shouldn't defend it.
You're not wrong. But as for pragmatic, practical purposes go.
So are you saying that the act of burning the flag is not freedom of speech? It's the act of putting it on fire.
I'm sorry.
That's what you're saying. Oh, no, I'm trying to really absorb this. That's what you're saying, right? The act of lighting a flag on fire is not a freedom. That's not freedom of speech.
It's not.
He's arguing that it's not speech.
It's not speech.
In particular.
Because it's not speech.
Because it's not someone
saying something. It's like a category error.
It's
not a
category error. Speech is
it's an act.
So if you and I are speaking,
it's like vandalism.
Freedom of speech. Vandalism is.
I think it's incitement is what people were arguing in the.
Incitement is the EO. I'm not.
I'm
going
further.
I agree that I'm. Yeah, obviously I'm going further.
I'm just trying to understand this better. But this is just if it's done in public settings. In a protest, then that's against the law. But if someone has a flag in their own home and they want to burn their flag that they bought, they can do that. That's where I'm. I don't understand the.
Not under the current EO, you could.
So you could burn an American flag in your home, but if you're out at a protest, you start burning the flag. That's against the law.
That's the current executive order. Yes,
because he says that it's incitement.
I do have to get to the super chats because I'm being very remiss. I do like this conversation though. Wait. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot. Here we go. This is from Metho671. Oh, this is Rumble rant. If Trump accepts 600,000 Chinese students, he should be impeached and removed under the 25th. China is an enemy of the United States and is plotting our downfall every day, and I voted for him. Wow. So again, that's what we titled this episode, that there's a MAGA uproar, and there you go. Where are we going? Elaad is nuts. This is from Sporkwitch. What is a sporkwitch? Now that's
nuts.
Now that is interesting.
Did they give a take that they were upset about?
So college doesn't teach American values. It indoctrinates students in Marxism. China only allows party members in good standing to go, zero benefit, all cost and harm.
That's just not true on both accounts. And Poso, maybe you could talk more to the China part, but I just don't think that's the case. Let's go.
I mean, I'd say it's probably case by case basis, but if you are a party member, you're going to have a more chance, or from a family that has a party member, there's a better chance you're going to make it. Let's see. The only rational reason for the students is to use them as hostages for the CCP. This is from SPQR 2008. So returning Rome, the Roman Empire in the 2008, using them as hostages for the CCP not taking Taiwan or the South China Sea. Matt writes, a friend married a Chinese girl. Her bro is in the army. By the way, that's interesting because most people in China are one child, but that's changing.
Good point.
So
I don't know. Maybe this is fake news.
They've been relaxing it in recent years. So. If you're younger, it's possible. Like Gen Z. So millennials don't have siblings in China, but Gen Z kind of can. But in some cases, again, if you're a CCP elite, you can, or if you have a special dispensation, you can get
around the rules.
Yeah. And so he was told that because his sister is married to a foreigner, he is not eligible for promotion in the army. CCP has zero issue with holding family accountable. So this family reprisal, collective punishment.
This was to my point earlier that Chinese nationalists are also against student visas for Chinese people coming over here. That's more of a reason to not do it.
MFT2 says, how long will Xi still be in charge of China? Rumor is he is on the outs with his party. Yeah, I see that headline. Gosh, it's like routine every 6 months.
All the time.
Yeah,
He's about to go. He's about to go. He's about to go. The CCP is about to fall. They're about to fall. They're going to fall tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then they just keep going.
He just keeps purging them. Anybody who questions their loyalty, even the people who are loyal to CCP, Xi Jinping and the CCP, he just keeps doing these so-called corruption purges.
Yeah.
And of business leaders too. Anybody gets too powerful in China, you're disappeared.
They were putting it on TV, so it was the #1 show in China at one point, where the struggle sessions, because you don't have to hold them in these mass public settings in soccer stadiums anymore, like the Cultural Revolution, they were putting them on TV, and they made like a reality show about it. So, and you would actually have to get the official who's being purged, the purgee, I suppose, is now on camera, speaking to the camera, reciting their crimes against the nation, and you get to see all of the things they did, and then that person gets purged. And this was like #1 highest rated show in China when it was out.
You know, to the point of if she were to be, die or taken out of power or whatever, that doesn't mean that the government's going to change. It just means that she's not the guy in charge.
He just gets replaced.
Yeah, it would just be another person.
Here's an interesting.
He gets replaced with Lee.
But I think Xi Jinping will be there for quite some time. I really do. And by the way, it wouldn't surprise me also if he pulled the Medvedev swap like Putin did for a minute.
Right.
So you stand down for one term, go into a lesser role and then come back as the overall leader. It wouldn't surprise me if there was something like that happened. Really interesting comment from Corbin26. I'm a second-generation immigrant. I speak English, French, Spanish, and my parents' languages. We believe in MAGA, yet are still not seen as American enough. Do we have to abandon our original culture to belong? And I would say, look, I think personally that, and I'll open it up, but just from my personal answer would be that, assimilation is a multi-generational process. It just is.
I don't think it makes you any less American if you are a first-generation immigrant or a second-generation immigrant. I don't think you should listen to people who say otherwise. You're just as much of an American, and you have equal rights compared to those people. So as far as I'm concerned, you do.
There's a difference between having the rights of an American citizen and being an American.
Well, I don't. What are the qualifications and what allows you?
Legal and illegal.
What I'm talking about is this multi-generational process of listening.
I don't think you need to be here for multiple generations to be an equal American.
One person
somebody
can't
who
be here for multiple generations.
What?
One person can't be here for multiple generations.
Or if their family was here for multiple generations, I don't think that would make one person more.
What are they
American
saying?
than
They don't want to be like they're not. What about being proud of your heritage? I mean, my family's from Mexico. I don't know. I mean, I'm proud of my Mexican heritage. What exactly are they saying?
Well,
They don't feel American
We're making
enough.
the distinction between what is an American versus what is an American citizen, and I think they were asking, when do I become American?
If you live here legally, man, you're an American. That's it.
Right, but there's a difference between being someone who, is just an illegal immigrant versus someone who's been here for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I think I'm more American than Elon.
Well, you just said yourself that you can't be here for hundreds of years.
Yeah, you can't be here for hundreds of years.
I said wrong. A family who's been here for hundreds of years.
So I'm trying to understand, what's the difference between how American someone is and the citizenship?
I think it's
one is a legal piece of paper, and one is a
How proud you are.
I'm trying to understand what makes someone American beyond citizenship.
shared culture.
Shared culture, shared heritage, shared.
That's what makes America so rich and great is
Super
that everyone has a different culture. Everyone brings it all to the table. Everyone
This is
here.
the shared
Yeah, but
culture.
there is a core American culture for sure, and that's what they mentioned.
We share.
I mean,
it now.
Hot dogs and baseball. I mean, I know. What
Yes, those are American things.
Yeah, I know, and I love them. But I'm just saying, but everyone kind of brings something to the table, from Italy, from Mexico. We're all here together, making America so rich and beautiful.
The point that is kind of being talked about or that they're kind of dancing around is there are people that think that America is a white Protestant country, and if you're not white Protestant, you're kind of not a real American. And whether or not people and the problem with this,
tell that to the Indians.
well, I mean,
America
They own a lot of
didn't exist
America-
before the Europeans came.
I'm not making for that or against that, but the point that the person's getting at, and that's kind of what the discussion online is. Now, the people that talk about heritage Americans or real Americans, what they're talking about is people that are white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, right?
Well, that is
Right.
maybe
But
Catholic.
that's a
We're the
part of
founders
America.
the country.
Yeah,
Right.
And so the people that are not white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, they're suspect somehow, and that's honestly
It's
the
not
way
their
that it goes.
I wouldn't necessarily say suspect. I would just say that you're from a country or a culture that is separate from the original Americans.
But
I don't
but
think
the
the
thing that
Constitution
happens
was
though,
based on that, and your Americanness, I think, depends on your belief in American values, which aren't inherently based to any, original founding stock of the
see, that's
country.
the,
So you just
the
divide the
people that are-
world between Americans and future Americans.
People will make an argument that it does. People make an argument that that America is for a particular people and that other people can't assimilate.
Yeah, and I'd argue
properly
that
in
it's
the United States.
un-American and not found in the Constitution.
Well, people can assimilate, but they're assimilating to something.
Right.
which
So
is
what are they?
Well, the
more-
American values, but the American values inherently.
I don't think
I mean,
America
this
is
goes-
just an idea, though.
Yeah,
America is the American people are a people. The
Yeah.
American nation is a nation of people.
You have to
Right, and
assimilate
it takes
to
different kinds of
something.
people to make America,
There's no
right?
question.
I mean,
and
it's
America has changed over time, but the idea that the American people are just this amorphous blob and that anyone can just automatically become American because you get a piece of paper, it's ridiculous on its face. I can't go to. I mentioned living in China. I speak Chinese. I can't become Chinese.
Let me ask
Doesn't-
then,
doesn't
Jack.
matter.
If I'm a member of the founding stock, Mayflower, what have you, but I am a hardline communist leftist. Am I any?
I've heard
less-
all these arguments all week.
No, I'm not. So great. So you could have a good answer for it, right? So what do you think? Like, am I any less American if I'm a diehard communist, hate America, hate American values, want the country and the government to be overthrown? Am I more American than some? And as this super chatter
You'd
who
be a
said,
stupid American, but you'd still be an American.
I'd be more of an American than the person who's here as a second generationer. I think this guy said his parents were.
It's a matter of history. It's not something that I can change.
In your eyes, is the person.
It's not in my eyes. It's just a matter of history.
It's
were
a
the
matter of
people
your
who founded
interpretation of
America.
what it means to be an American.
We're describing a mechanism at work.
It's a historical mechanism. Those were the people who founded America.
Yes. So now we were valuing people on
Which is
how
true.
much somebody is American or not.
Well, you're
value.
It's not
We were
valuing.
on
I never
the
said anything about valuing. You're adding that word again, just like you had.
No,
words
he's saying.
in the
I feel like
I
you're
think he said
beating around the bush,
evaluate,
what I'm
not
trying to-
valuing.
He was saying valuing.
Were you saying valuing?
I was trying to get to the point that I feel like you're purposefully not trying to tangle with. So again, this guy was saying he doesn't truly feel American or feels like less of American because he was a second generation immigrant. I'm asking you now. You already said you're asked this all the time, so you should have a well thought out answer. Somebody again, founding stock, came here on the Mayflower, but is currently in his day and age a diehard communist, wants to overthrow the government, is a revolutionary, compared to the super chatter who said, he's a second generation American. Are these people of equal Americanness to you? Is one more or less American to you?
One more or less. I mean, they're separate things. So you're taking someone's mental status and trying to imbibe that to their family's history. I'm talking about their family's history. I'm not talking about whether they're a liberal or a conservative or any of these things.
So you're saying that guy would be more American, the diehard communist whose family came here and has been here since the Mayflower.
As it is, it's simply a matter of history.
Oh, okay, so say I feel like
simply
you're
a
being,
matter
so
of
you think
history.
that person is more
That
American
person who comes from, and we're like right on the end. So we should, I think,
Just 'cause
we all
you
agree.
won't
We'll carry
answer
this over.
this. Yeah.
We'll carry this over. So the answer is yes. Obviously,
Okay.
that person is from the founding stock of America, and a person who is an immigrant, if they're not from that that culture, is not.
Yeah, I think the exact opposite, and I think that person would be a threat to America and Americans. But
I'm not saying they're not a threat. But it's also just a matter of history, and it's just an immutable fact.
Real.
Mutable facts.
So true.
We are a little bit over. We did not shout out stuff. Are we able to do that, Serge, if that's okay? Because I want to make sure Nino gets a chance to shout out where he's from, because he was a great guest.
Oh, I appreciate that. I like
also
the ending
really,
here. I was
really
like,
cool
I want to be a
stories.
referee.
Well, we have another hour.
Okay.
So let's do that for
you
the
can
third
start
hour.
swinging if you want to. You don't have to just draft. Pick who's being right, who's wrong.
No, just tell people where I'm at. Is that what you're saying? Nino's
tell
Corner.
people where
Yeah,
to find
Nino's Corner.tv. I left the fighting arena, the physical fight of boxing, to following everything on the Deep State War. That's Nino's Corner.tv. It's also Nino's Corner on YouTube and Rumble. Nino's Corner. X is Nino Boxer, and that's about it.
Thank you guys for tuning in, everybody. I am Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. Did I bomb it too hard? Also, have been on the immigration beat, which has been crazy. I might get the opportunity soon to do a couple of ride-alongs, which would be a great opportunity. So I'm really thankful. Be on the lookout for that. You can follow me
Questions.
at Elaad Eliyahu on Instagram and on Twitter. Tate.
Find me at X on X at Real Tate Brown, on Instagram at Real Tate Brown. See me in the morning show tomorrow. Be there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can find the band on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
You got me so good when you said that last night. Jack Posobiec, you find me on Human Events Daily. Make sure you're downloading it. Make sure you're getting that podcast every single day to give you the updates on what's going on in our world. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you have my permission to lay ashore. Stay tuned for the Super Chat, where I will be explaining what is an American.